So where did all this energy in space come from? The answer was found after decades of work by scientists. Space and energy was spontaneously created in an event we now call the Big Bang. At the moment of the Big Bang, an entire universe full of energy came into existence, and with it, space. It all inflated, just like a balloon being blown up. So where did all this energy in space come from? How does an entire universe full of energy, the awesome vastness of space, and everything in it simply appear out of nothing? For some, this is where God comes back into the picture.
In order to be a part of my live shows, you're going to have to go to the front of my YouTube channel. Look in upcoming live streams or shows that are coming along. You should see 1 or 2 shows that are set up at the moment. Sometimes there'll be 3 or 4. Once you see that, you click on the show that you want to be a part of, look at the date and time on it. Once you click, you're going to see the broadcast window with the show. And it's going to have a notification, the date and time, and if you look over in the comments, you're going to see the public link. Now, if you click the public link, you're going to enter into the show, and it's going to ask you to set up your microphone and webcam. Now, you don't have to use your webcam. You can simply click the button that has a camera icon, turn it off, and make sure you mute your microphone when you do come on the show so you're not bringing reverb and feedback and noise effects on other people while they're chatting. It's the considerate thing to do. Also, if you want to support my work, my content, you can do so by going into the links in my description and using Cash App, PayPal, or you can buy some t-shirts or many products I have in my merchandise store. I use Rumble video sharing. That's where myself as well as many friends hang out. We upload videos, and we also do copies of my live streams that go to YouTube as well as Rumble. Unfortunately, YouTube gives us a lot of trouble, and we have to sometimes edit our videos and our shows and all that, but the full versions can always be found on Rumble as well as my radio station. In case in the future YouTube were to remove me, as well as many other YouTubers out there, you can find us on Rumble, and you'll also find me on my international radio station. And my radio is pretty cool. I have over 1,000 episodes, solo work, me talking about many, many different topics, as well as the live streams. Anything that I do on YouTube, on someone else's podcast, or my own, will always be found on the radio.
Excuse us.
How old is she?
They are 15 months old. We actually use they, them pronouns. We're great until they tell us who they are. That's why you were like, who, what?
Oh, wow. Okay, so
They. Uh-huh.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the Pride Parade.
Did you say thank you? Thank you.
We are pulling apart this idea of sex, which is related to genitals, and gender, which is related to how you move in the world. So what you wear, how you share your identity with other people, all of those things are related to gender.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
We've just received these documents that Trudeau has been covering up for years. Documents related to a massive security breach at the Trudeau government's most sensitive laboratory, where the most dangerous viruses and pathogens are studied and handled. We have learned that the Trudeau government's head of pathogens was collaborating with members of Beijing's People's Liberation Army who are responsible for bioweapons and bioterrorism. We know now that a People's Liberation Army official was able to gain personal access, walk in the door, look at computers, and have access to all of our most important virological secrets. Let me, if you think any of this is hyperbole, read the report yourself.
They like Trump. Could you believe it? They like the government.
But I think as time rolls on, people are going to understand the need to have some sort of divine structure to things, some sort of belief in the sanctity of love and of truth. And a lot of that comes from religion. A lot of people's moral compass and the guidelines that they've used to follow to live a just and righteous life has come from religion. And unfortunately, a lot of very intelligent people, they dismiss all of the positive aspects of religion because they think that the stories are mere superstitious fairy tales, that, you know, they have no place in this modern world, and, you know, we're inherently good and your ethics are based on your own moral compass and we all have one. And that's not necessarily true. We need Jesus. I think, for real. Like, if he came back now, it'd be great. Like, Jesus, if you're thinking about coming back
right now,
now's a good time.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah.
Now's a good time.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keane, and you are watching, listening to The Brett Keane Show. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm here with my awesome, sexy co-host, Lucifer. Oh.
Yeah, I ain't so sexy right now. I'm feeling about as sexy as dog shit.
Sexy as dog shit? Goodness gracious, man. You still hurting, huh?
Meh. Yeah, I ain't feeling the hot and greatest, but hey, I made it. I'm just not appearing on camera tonight, folks, because, well, I don't think anybody really wants to see my sick ass on camera. So, but I'm here. I'm present. I'm ready to commentate. I'm ready to rip into some stupid atheists. And I'm going to go on record here really quickly to say that I have to agree that most moral compasses do come from religion. And I didn't always agree with that. I used to think that you didn't have to have a religion to have a good moral compass. You could just be a good person in general and be okay. But in the past several years, I see all of the stupidity that's come out of the atheist side of things. And I can't help but to say the best people that I've ever encountered have some sort of religious belief. And I will say you don't have to be a Christian. You could be, you can be a Satanist, like a theistic Satanist like myself. You could be a Wiccan. You could be anything you want, so long as you adhere to the guidelines and laws of what that religion states. I mean, I've seen plenty of people who, if they adhered to the laws of Wicca, they'd be wonderful people. They'd be absolutely wonderful people. I met plenty of people who were Buddhist, like traditional Buddhists, and wonderful people. I've also met people are surprised that I met numerous Christians who, when they got to know me as a person, we got along famously, and they are generally really good people. So you don't have to be of any one particular religion. Just adhere to the codes and ethics of that religion to be a good person and have a good moral compass. However, I've never seen that with an atheist.
Me neither. There was a time where I used to believe that one didn't need a God or any kind of belief in that in order to have a moral compass, that humans would rationally realize we need to be a cosmic family and work together in order to achieve and accomplish and do better. I thought science was the only alternative, the only answer. And the more and more I hung out with non-believers, the more I realized that I was horribly wrong. I believe that people need a moral compass. I think that people have to have faith in something higher than themselves that they can achieve, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I don't know where people go wrong because the whole notion of being your own God or being an atheist, where you don't believe in any external God. It sounds great on paper. It's sort of like socialism or Marxism or whatnot. You see it on paper and it looks great. It sounds fantastic. You put it into practice and everything just goes to shit.
Let me show you something real quick. These are some statistics right here. Atheists have the highest suicide rate on the planet over every group and community combined, and that's including Islam. You would think Islam would be way up there with all the bombs, right? Atheists have the highest substance abuse and drug issues on the planet. Atheists founded NAMBLA and invented child porn magazines. Atheist countries have the highest rape crimes and domestic abuse over all religious countries, including Islam. Atheists are more likely than any other group to be pedophiles, homosexual, transgender. Catholics don't hold a candle to atheist depravity. And here's the proof of NAMBLA. That's the guy that created it. He was an atheist. And yep. There we go. What's your thoughts? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people who believe they're nothing more than evolved slugs would have that kind of behavior?
Well, I'm going to go on record here and say that atheists may not have the highest suicide rate. That part might actually be wrong. The highest suicide rates that I'm hearing in the records reporting currently are coming from transgendered individuals. And it's from people who regret not, staying as what they were, and they went the whole way. There is one transgender individual who I have a deep respect for. Her name is Blair White, and to look at her, to listen to her, she looks like a totally natural woman. She's transgendered, And she has gone on record and said she's never going to get the bottom surgery because she's flat out said that people who get the bottom surgery, where they get their genitals cut off and totally mutilated and everything else, they regret it. They regret it because that's the one thing that they really can't go back on. And there's like a 75 to 85% suicide rate amongst transgendered individuals who get that bottom surgery done. So I don't know if you want to compare the numbers there or whatnot, but yeah, that's what that is. The rest of the stuff, listen, in Satanism, we don't completely condemn suicide. We acknowledge that there are certain points in time where it is an acceptable act to perform under certain circumstances. Excuse me, guys. I am sick, so I don't mean to be coughing at the mic. But that actually brings up the first part of what we consider to be acceptable, and that is terminal illness. If you're dying from a terminal disease, say it's cancer, AIDS, or any other sort of horrible disease that's slowly killing you, wasting you away, and you know there's no chance of you recovering from it, we find it's perfectly acceptable to set your affairs in order, tell your friends and loved ones that you love them and that you're going to miss them, that you hope that they miss you, and then find a nice quiet place and end your own suffering. We look at this as, we euthanize our pets to ease their suffering. We as humans should have the right, especially as adults, to choose when to go out on our own terms if we are similarly suffering. The other time is if you're a military officer or soldier or whatnot, and your sacrifice, the sacrifice of your life, can help your battle buddies or whoever and that's just an example. You don't have to be a military officer, just in a situation where the end of your life can actually benefit others to help them live and continue onward. But we believe in that instance, it's not really suicide, it's self-sacrifice. So, Brett?
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I was just waiting for your mic to shut off. I thought you might be, didn't know if you were done. Yeah, in cases of self-sacrifice and altruistic acts, I can completely see that. My issue is with what Canada's doing lately, where they're wanting to build suicide clinics and allow minors to commit suicide, kids and all that. And as far as transgenders go, Blair White is an excellent person. I enjoy listening to her videos. I will actually respect her with the whole pronouns thing, but I don't like people demanding or forcing. And that's one thing I like about Blair White. Blair White actually says, look, all I ask is that you treat me like a human and I treat you like a human back. It doesn't expect me to jump through hoops and stupid shit. As far as transgenders go, don't really have a problem with adults doing whatever they want with their body. If you want to put, earrings all in your face and look like Shredder off the Turtles, fine. But it's the encouraging of children mutilating themselves before they fully develop their mind and their brain that concern me. That's what bothers me the most.
Absolutely. And that's the big thing is, we have people out there trying to push this crap on children. And that's exactly what it is. It's absolute garbage. These are children. It doesn't matter what age they are until they are of the legal age of consent. Until they are legally seen as adults in the eyes of the law and of society, nothing should be forced on them. It's like the clip you showed there, trying to attach pronouns to a toddler just because they can't tell you what they are. I'm sorry, but you can look at their you can look at their natural born state and tell, okay, it's a girl. Raise it as a girl. You can look at its natural born state. Okay, there's a penis there. It is a boy. What they want to call themselves when they're older, after they've hit 18, That's totally up to them. Until then, call it as you see it.
They can do it if they want.
Hey Garcia, how you doing? Yeah, I think that especially whenever it comes to suicide or even the mutilation thing we were talking about, I mean, you remember what it was like whenever you were a kid. I know what it was like when I was a kid. Everything was confusing and the world was crazy. There were a lot of times where I didn't feel like I felt it, or I felt like I fit in. So if they would have had like a suicide clinic for kids back then, hell, I might have even considered it several times. So I don't think it's a good idea. I think we should wait until people become adults before they start making those kind of choices with their body.
Exactly. Hey, I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee or something. I'll be right back.
All right, man. I hope you get to feeling better. Hey, Garcia, how are you?
Hello, can you listen to me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Garcia. What's your story? Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm 24 years old. I'm Christian, of course.
Sounds like your mic went out on you. You're having...
Hey, Brett, I was wondering, what would you have considered when you were young? Suicide?
Because I had a hard upbringing. I had a sick mother, and my father left at a very young age. And around the same time he left, my grandmother died from cancer, shriveled up right in front of me. I watched her die. So I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. In and out of foster homes, I went in residential treatment centers, and I just didn't think that, I would make it to 20 years old. I was like, nobody wants me, nobody loves me. I might as well just end it. That's the way I felt as a kid. But obviously now I'm almost 50 years old, and I'm glad that I stuck around. I got a beautiful wife, 2 wonderful children, and a decent amount of people. I notice everybody keeps on pointing out, Brett, you got 666 subscribers. Yeah, I know. It's probably from having all these Satanists on my channel. Goodness gracious.
Probably LeGivorden is bringing up. Yeah, I felt the same when I was younger. Now I'm 24 and I don't feel like that, but when I was younger, maybe I would have done it. Were you Christian back then?
I was a Christian whenever I was young, but after all those tragedies and all that, I started getting skeptical, and I turned into an atheist for a very, very long time. But I believe that I was a lot different than a lot of the non-believers that exist today, just because I was having trouble accepting that there might be a higher power out there. I still believe that we should all get along with each other. No matter if you're religious or you believe in a higher power or not. I thought non-believers should get along with religious people, is where it seemed like other atheists were always wanting to fight and argue and bash people.
It's amazing how sometimes bad situations can make your faith stronger. Sometimes they can break it.
Yeah. So when you were younger, you were having a tough time too. You actually considered ending it all, huh?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
I was very depressed. I had a problem with my family now.
Well, what was the problem?
I don't know. I had a lot of fights with my father, with my family. Didn't get along. I feel like I was alone in the world.
Did things get worked out, or did you just figure out how to adapt to a shit sandwich without the bread?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Things changed, but also I learned how to cope with it. I started working, and I was able to get out of on my home.
That's good. So you're living on your own, and you're making life work for you. You grabbed life by the balls and said, "Bitch, you're gonna do what I need you to do." Am I right?
You gotta do that. Yeah.
There you go.
It's true.
There you go.
But if you give these kids the ability to kill themselves before they get to that point, they might not even know it.
Yeah, life is tough, especially for young people, because you're trying to figure out who you are in the world and where you want to be and all this. And all these people have expectations and putting up all kinds of walls. A lot of kids get bullied nowadays, too. So that could really push someone's self-esteem down. Miss and Mud, you going to come in here and chat with us as well as Bubblegum? My co-host Lucifer's not feeling very good, and he could use some help here by people coming in and taking up some of the slack for him. Oh, these people. What are we going to do with them, Garcia?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So, Garcia, let me throw a topic at you and see what your opinion is. They've been talking about passing laws all over the United States to basically give the death penalty to pedophiles. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I completely agree. I think they should be killed. But, you know, it should always be proven. That's the thing. What happens if someone is falsely accused? Like, there's having so many people being accused of things, and it turns out later that they're not. You know?
That's the only real issue I have with the death penalty or capital punishment is
Yeah.
our system is so broke and it's a three-ring circus. I mean, with what we've seen the system being used on Trump the way it was, that gives me all the evidence in the world that we got to be careful. So if somebody's going to get killed for being a pedophile, we need to have 100% evidence before we pull the switch on them, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see what we got. Vladsker out here says, personally, I don't think it's atheism necessarily. It's the hubris and nihilism. I believe a spiritual atheist can be a good person, but not a secular or postmodernist. Well, you don't see very many atheists who believe in spirituality. They throw the baby out with the bathwater on that. There's not very many atheists I've met who actually believe they have a soul or that there's an afterlife. So they usually have convinced themselves that they're nothing more than animals that evolved from maggots, and they behave as such.
Yeah, well, let's bring back public executions and see how quickly they find religion.
I think that'd be a great idea. I think that what we need to do is open up the Coliseums, make them pay-per-view, $30 like WWE wrestling, and all the pedophiles and rapists that we know for a fact did the deal and stuff, we need to put them in the Coliseum and let them publicly be destroyed and mauled. That way the world can be made an example of. What do you think, guys? Good idea?
I agree. We should definitely put those guys in a Coliseum on pay-per-view, like you just said, and make them face the parents of their victims. Make them face, you got one of these sick fucks, like John Walsh. Do you remember the John Walsh story? The guy who founded America's Most Wanted, the television show. His son was taken, brutally murdered. They only ever found his head. There's actually a movie on this, guys. Finally, John Walsh and them found who did it and arrested him. What's to say that we shouldn't put the killer of his son in an arena with John Walsh and said, "May the best man walk away"?
Exactly. Oh, by the way, your buddy Raging Atheist is out there. He says the atheist and foxholes argument so original. I don't think either one of us said anything about atheists and foxholes. You've heard that old meme, haven't you, Lucifer, about atheists and foxholes?
No, I haven't, but I know that all atheists are a foxhole, if you get my meaning.
That's rough. Well, the meme goes like this, that you'll never find an atheist in a foxhole because the minute bullets start flying, they'll start crying out to Jesus or God or something because their life is on the line. So, but I know for a fact that there has been some non-believers who've actually served and they did their thing in the military. The question I have, though, is if you only have one life, and this is the only life that you have, why would you fight over land, sea, and air or dirt for? And a lot of people out there, they're convinced that they got to be a part of something like that so they can be all they can be. And what is it that you can be all you can be besides dead? What do they mean in the brochure? And everybody went quiet.
Sorry, I had a piece of pizza in my mouth. I'm sitting here eating turtle food to help get over my sickness. I really don't know. Being all you can be is the whole notion of it. I know what they're trying to aim for, and that's to reach your ultimate Thule, but being all that you can be comes from within first. That's my personal opinion. Being put in a hard situation, that's where, joining the military, it's a rough ride. You're not going to get an easy ride there, but you're going to be pushed to your best. You're either going to be pushed to your best or you're going to be broken. That's about all it is.
I had a family member that served, and they told me that whenever I was younger that I should go serve and all that. And I said, why would I want to do that for? And they said, because you get to, get out there and, do for America. And I says, how does going to foreign countries, shooting total strangers up, helping my country out any exactly? Because it seems to me in the last 30, 50 years, any fights we've had is over trying to get people's resources and oil. It don't seem like there's any democracy to it. So I guess you guys could say Brett Keane can't be found in the foxhole because I ain't going to do it unless it's beautiful like my wife.
I've been in the damn foxhole. I've been under fire before in real life. I mean, I don't have scars all over my body and all over my face from just sitting on the sidelines. It's, you get into that situation where it's kill or be killed, and your perspective on things change. But this, Brett. You and I have talked extensively about my past, in certain instances. And that just simply being there, you can't have that perspective. It's going to change you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Just the idea. I mean, some people out there, especially on Twitter, and a lot of these conservatives, they like to brag about their guns and all that. If somebody comes on my property, I'll shoot their ass kind of attitude. But me, the idea of actually ending someone's life, especially somebody I don't know. I think that would give me bad dreams, nightmares. You know what I mean? And I already got enough of them.
Well, take it from me. It's definitely something different. Most of these people, they wouldn't fucking know what to do if they had to kill a person. I've been in that position. I've seen death so many times firsthand. I've seen people executed brutally via Sharia law. I've even been forced to take a life before. Not something I'm very happy about, but I was left with no choice. And it's definitely something that you can't just take lightly. How you doing, Missing Mod? It's good to see you.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Sick as a dog.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But I made it tonight at least. That's why I'm not on camera. I look like crap.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this is the actual Raging Atheist. This might be a troll of him doing a sock account. Would you like to talk to him, Lucifer? Are you up for that?
I have nothing to say to the Raging Atheist. The only thing I need to know is his name, his address, and then I'm going to take his ass to court.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So you don't want to talk to him because this might actually be him in the stage.
He had his chance. Let's put it this way. He had his chance when we invited him onto the show to talk about things, and he chose to piss up a rope. He chose to play games. I have nothing further to say to him.
Okay. Maybe some other time there, Knock, because Mr. Lucifer's not feeling too good, and I'm half deaf over here. If it wasn't for Missing Mod, there wouldn't be one functional human being in the room.
Oh, that sucks because I've never talked to him before. So he's not really like a troublemaker or anything, is he?
Well, he called. Go ahead.
He called Brett a Nazi numerous times because Brett was on my episode, my show, where I had a bunch of former National Socialists, and we were talking about all of our past. And he called Brett Nazi numerous times just for being on there, and he was did a bunch of things, and he tried to, steal some of my content to make a video of his, and I copyright struck him, and he decided he wanted to play games, and I said, hey, listen, just apologize to Brett, for running his name through the mud. In all honesty, I didn't even care if he ever apologized to me, but, I said, hey, apologize, Brett, apologize to me for stealing my stuff, but mostly Brett, you owe Brett an apology. And
What do you mean?
I see,
Apologize.
He's mean to me. He's mean to me. I appreciate that, Lucifer. You know what, Lucifer? Believe it or not, and I am not shitting you on this. I've had tons and tons of people do that where they make videos, especially atheists, attack. And not one single time do Christians make videos and try to defend me or support me in any kind of way. Isn't that something, folks? I think that you all should make friends with Satanists right away. These folks are loyal and they'll defend you. Very good. Miss Mod, how are you doing? I feel kind of bad for you. I watched one of your latest videos lately. I hope you got some sleep.
Yeah, I did. I did actually, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to say I seen his recent video, and he sounds really good to me. He sounds like he's relaxed a lot more. He's not as high stressed, and yeah, I just think it's good news. He seemed pretty calm.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, talking about Skylar, the guy that I was stressed about. But
I didn't see. I don't watch the Skylar person that you're talking about. I'm aware of your Big Mama person that you have on there, but sounded like you had some trouble with a few different folks. I hope that got worked out for you.
Yeah, it's all good now. I'm happy.
That's
and I slept
good.
like a rock today.
There you go.
I've been sleeping like a rock for the past 2 days.
Why don't you tell people what happened to you, Lucifer? Some evil came upon him.
Oh man. We had that 24-hour bug hit us. And I've been all hopped up on meds to get over it. Woohoo! I see pretty lady. But yeah, so just haven't been feeling all that great, and yeah, been laying down, sleeping on the couch, and that's been about it.
You know what the best thing to prevent any kind of bug like that is vitamin C. Just eat a lot of oranges and vitamin C. It's really good for you. It'll keep you from ever getting sick.
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah.
I shouldn't
we
say
eat a lot of pineapple, whenever we can. Love pineapples.
We got us a guest here. They got a weird name, so we might get a racial slur, or they want to rape our face or something. Hold on. Hello there, BM. How are you?
It's me.
It's you. What does that mean?
It means black metal.
Oh, it's black metaler. Sorry about that. I thought you were about to say something nasty.
Oh, jeez. I was just making it a joke because I remember Lucifer LeGivorden would say I keep forgetting to take my meds, so I decided to make a little joke out of it.
Oh, it's all good. Well, you're up and...
Jeez, thanks.
Hey, it's good to be funny, all right?
Well, you've been in my room long enough to see that I deal with some evil sometimes. Here we go. Let's put Miss and Mod on the big screen. She's got that cool eyeball thing going. It looks like something I seen in Starfield.
Oh, that's what brand of angel is that, Missing Mod?
I don't know their names like that.
Is
but
that the Seraphim?
It's from Ezekiel. I can look it up. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's either something like Seraphim or whatnot. People would be really fucking freaked out if they realized that this is actually a more accurate depiction, according to the Bible and biblical lore, that's what angels look like. They don't look like fun little babies with wings or anything like that. They look like something out of a Lovecraft story.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about that last night. I think it was maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I love that one. It's so cool. And it's got Ezekiel down there. I know it was a vision, but still, I like it. Definitely keeps you focused on it the whole time, I noticed.
We got
It
somebody
does.
right here. Antonio Rodriguez, I think is how his name is pronounced. He says, I'm a Satanist and I have many friends who are Christians and atheists, never once have had an issue. Well, I think it's a social media thing. What do you think, Missing Mod? Do you think atheists just simply act out when they're on the internet, or do you think they're more nicer when they're off the computer?
Well, yeah, definitely, because I've never had an atheist come at me at all, you know, like out in real life and throughout my life. Like, it's just never even been a thing. You know, I don't have
Well,
very much
that is
experience.
true. That is true. I've been out in public and people have recognized me and they say, "Hey, Brett, how you doing?" But I've never had somebody come up and say, "I'm an atheist. I really didn't like your 5-minute video about 2 years ago. I might have to take you out back or something." No, I never had to deal with anything like that. So you might be right.
I look at the internet and people's personalities as kind of like what's going on in their mind, right? Like, because they're saying things in their mind when they meet someone that doesn't believe the same. They're thinking these things, but they don't say them, you know, because you might get smacked. But I've never had an encounter at all like I have online.
It could be also that I wear leather jackets and trench coats, 6'5", 250 pounds of pure sexual erotic power. Maybe it intimidates them not to want to do something to me out in public. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think, Mr. Lucifer? We're quite the beast, right?
Oh, size doesn't matter much. It's all in the motion of the ocean. But as Her Majesty said before her passing, you can't get to England very fast in a rowboat. But anyways, nah. I'm just sitting here sipping my coffee, listening to everybody. And no, I have never had an atheist come up to me in person. I've had Islamic people come at me in person trying to cut my head off. That's the funny part. But I've never had an atheist or anybody come at me in person. And I'll tell you exactly why. It's because they don't have the protection of the computer monitor between me and them. They're forced at that point to talk to me face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your friend's trying to ask you permission for something there, Brett.
I think that he wants to make a video where he shows himself trying to get into the conversation or whatever. I guess he wants
would
to
say pay attention to the copyright notice at the beginning of the video.
That's why I would just let him in, and whatever happens, just, you know, roll with it.
Well, I think that Lucifer would be more open to it, but right now he's sick. And he doesn't want to get into a big old mess and all that. And besides, didn't you want your opportunity to be able to ask questions about magic and some of the things about Satanism?
Well, yeah, but he doesn't really. He seems like he's not really feeling like a conversation like that. So I was just,
I'm game.
I'm rolling with it. Just rolling with whatever.
He's just not in the mood to be screaming and yelling and playing internet footsies. That's all. Go ahead.
Oh. Yeah,
I'm just not in the mood to be dealing with people's stupidity. That's about it.
Well, you're gonna have to deal with mine, so.
Oh.
Well, you don't ever really seem like you're stupid to me, so I think you're fine.
Thanks. Thank you. I'm just joking anyway. People think I am, so.
It's all good.
Ain't all of us sometimes feel like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And don't mind me, I'm just playing some Halo 2.
Well, there you go. Well, Missing Mod, what would you like to ask? Now's the time.
Let me think. There was something earlier that I thought about too, but see, I'd have to think about it. You got to give me a second.
Every time that you've been out in comments, you've been interested in spells and magic and voodoo.
I am. Like, I really am. Like, I don't know though, because I'm not really sure. Like, I'd have to think about it. It just comes to me sometimes. I don't know. It's when the topic comes up or something.
All right.
I gotta get something to get
I'll tell you what. While you're thinking about it, I'm going to tell you guys a joke real quick. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, here you go. What do you got when you have 2 green balls in your hand?
A tennis ball?
No. Kermit the Froggy's full attention.
Very
I think I've heard
funny.
that. That was a pretty
I'm
good
terrible.
fake laugh.
Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious.
All right, so okay, here's one more joke for you guys. I'm trying to get my friend Lucifer feeling better. Why does Mike Tyson, the former world champion of the world, cry after sex?
Because he bit an ear off.
No. The reason why Mike Tyson cries after sex is because of mace.
Oh, jeez.
Mace.
Yeah, mace.
Oh, jeez. What is he? A ferret?
You guys don't get it?
What? No, and now I'm even more confused.
Oh, well,
Ferret.
Mike Tyson was accused of a lot of bad things. Get it?
Oh,
Mace
rape.
after-
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, geez.
All right, let me
I get it
try
now.
one more. Let me try one more on you guys, and hopefully this doesn't take 5 minutes to hit you all. All right, here it is. Mike Tyson recently went into Pizza Hut and he ordered a bunch of pizza, and he's finishing it off, and the waitress comes up and says, "Mr. Tyson, would you like a box for your pizza?" And he gets up, knocks shit out of her.
Oh,
Wait.
damn.
She said, "Do you want a box for your pizza?" And he thought she wanted a box.
Wow, okay, that's a one way to basically reword the history here, folks.
Hey, it's a joke, man. It's a joke.
I was fucking with you.
I got it. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty funny.
That's a dumb question. I mean, who wants a box with their pizza? I mean, it's a joke, though. It's not like you made it up, I'm sure.
No, well, see, I'm sitting here and I've been eating pizza all day. It's the only thing I've really had in like 2 days now, and nothing quite like getting over a cold or whatever than to eat Ninja Turtle food.
Well, you know,
I did the same, man.
That if you go to get Pizza Hut or Domino's and all that, and you're sitting at the table and you don't finish it off, you can ask for a box to take it with you. The rest of what you ordered, right? Got
Or
it?
if you're in my state, KC's Pizza, they're like one of the best pizzas.
There you go.
That's funny.
Hey, Brad, I sent you a
right.
message over on Twitter.
Well, come on, guys. Let's get some topics going, or I'm going to give you some more lame jokes.
I know. That's why I'm like, you should let Rage in. That'll get a topic going.
No, that'll just get
do.
me shouting at people, and I don't want to be shouting at people.
Oh, well, I didn't think you guys could yell at each other.
Oh,
I think
no.
it'll be like Cyrax.
I'm just not in the mood to be dealing with stupidity. I have no temperament for atheists anymore. I have no temperament for idiots. He's sitting there saying that he could get my copyright strike lifted off of him.
Oh, that's what he wants to talk about. Okay.
He wants to bitch, piss, and moan. He wants to have it his way, and I'm not in the mood to give him any sort of platform to do that because all he's looking to do. And besides, it's been over 10 days. He couldn't get it lifted if he wanted to at this point. You have to do it within 10 days.
I thought he wanted to talk about something else. That's kind of
no. If he wanted to talk about other topics, we probably would have been more open. You know me, Miss and Mod. If somebody wants to come in and yell and scream, as long as they don't say they're going to rape my face or call me the N-word, I usually listen for a little bit. You remember my policy, right, folks? If you're going to troll me, you got to be entertaining when you do it.
Don't worry, I'll deal with the trolls. Like, I usually like to troll other people, aka the wings, who are trying to attempt trolling.
I think trolls make it worth doing.
You know, what's really funny is he's saying that I'm so fucking scared of him. Yet, you know, if you're not scared of me, give me your address, give me your full name, and let's actually see things in court. Let's actually take it to the courtroom, dude. Give me all the information. I will file the court papers, and you and I can face each other in person. I have no beef with that.
Oh, I'll definitely would watch it.
Mr. Darth, how are you?
Hey, what's happening? Seems there's a bit of a rage on the stream, rage in the chat.
It makes me want to sing a song. Looking for love in all the wrong places. You ever heard that one?
Oh, welcome to the 80s, folks. After all of this.
I know it's an
you
80s
hating
song.
on the 80s. You're not hating on the 80s. Those were the best time in life.
True.
ballads?
I like the 80s metal more than 80s pop.
What are we talking about?
80s rock and metal and pop.
I think Hall and Notes. Probably.
Why am I seeing? I see Robin's comment in the StreamYard, but I don't see it on YouTube. Why? I wonder.
I don't know. Oh, by the way, Miss and Mod, I don't know if you realize this. I know you use StreamYards, but if you come into the room before a show starts, you can actually connect it and broadcast the show over to your own YouTube channel. You have permission as long as you're actually a part of the show.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rhythm is asking to talk
So
about
that actually answers Raging's questions. Do I have permission to show anything here? No, you don't have permission. You're not part of the show.
I wish you guys would have been able to work things out earlier. I know Lucifer gave it his good college try, but you were just too damn mean there, Rage. Over and over and over, raging.
Oh, so he did a bad review or something.
No, Lucifer tried to say, hey, man, if you want to come on the show and talk, we'll do that. We did an entire show. He didn't show up. And then he started calling them names in the comments. So that's the reason why Lucifer's like, the hell with them. 3 times is a charm.
Yeah, I have no patience for idiots. And that's all he... if he wants to face me, he can face me in person, in real life, not with the protection of a computer monitor. We can actually be standing in person together, and it could be in a courtroom, it could be in a field, it could be in a boxing ring. I don't fucking care.
I mean, do you really want to get in a fight over this? Because
it's stupid. I personally don't
like
see
7
any
foot
point
tall. He's a pretty big dude.
I don't give a flipping fuck.
Oh yeah, he's like Matt. Who's the other guy he debated? Matt
Powell.
Matt Powell. There you go. He's also tall.
I had one guy challenge me to an MMA match because I copyright struck him, and I immediately accepted it in his comments, and he deleted it. I actually have the screenshot of me accepting it to his comments.
I remember you made a video about that. I watched it. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what's going
It
on.
looks like Raging Pussy over there just started to talk shit more, kind of fucking hilarious, like an average locale ever does, is talk shit.
Well,
he did do this weird like flip thing recently, where he's like back on the hate train again. I thought that was kind of weird. But...
You know what, Brett? Just get Raging out of here. He doesn't need to be the topic of this live stream, and he's just going to be sitting, camping out in the comment section, trying to provoke.
All right, we'll give him a timeout. Send him in the corner for a little bit.
I wish I could use a Dark Side Field clip. He starts going, no, how about this? Ban, 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 ban. Gone forever.
I don't
All
like
right,
banning
so
people. I don't
going.
like having people banned, but if they're going to cause a problem and it's going to be an ongoing problem, like what Raging was there, then yeah, you got to remove them.
Z-Science is in the chat.
So he's sitting in the corner having a timeout with his pacifier. I'll go ahead and throw some topics out there and get things going. So what is the most unusual spell or magic that you've ever seen in an outcome?
In Satanism, there's 3 basic types of spells. There's lust, destruction, and compassion. We were, me and my girlie, we were doing a destruction ritual years ago, and we actually had a physical demonic manifestation. And what that basically means is a demon actually showed up in the flesh. It was pretty interesting.
How did it look like?
Well, this one, now here's the thing. It looked like a little old bat, just a normal bat, but we were in the basement. It was a completely sealed basement. This is up in Maryland, by the way. It was a completely sealed basement. We checked the basement on the before and after hand. There was no way for this thing to get in or out of there. There was no scat. There was no signs or anything. And we had been going through the ritual for some time by the time this thing actually showed up. It flew around us, it landed on my girlie, and it flew around me, and then it disappeared into nowhere. We searched high and low for that thing. We searched every nook and cranny, wherever this thing might have landed, because we were like, well, wait a second, if this is an actual bat, then it's trapped down here and we need to get it out of here. No sign of it, no body, no scat. I've worked with bats before, so I know what their scat looks like. And it was just gone. It was gone out of nowhere. But within weeks, one of our targets, their house catches on fire. Another one gets into a car wreck. Another one's life goes down the shit. He gets everything repoed. His house gets foreclosed on. It just, all sorts of craziness starts happening.
And what was the exchange for this deed?
Oh, that's personal. This was, well, one of the targets I will say was my ex-wife.
Wow.
So that should give you a little bit of an idea on the severity of the situation.
Well, there's no worry because the court doesn't acknowledge witchcraft, so they can't condemn you for witchcraft.
No, they can't condemn me for witchcraft. They can't do anything like that. But still, it's one of those situations where it's like that. It's in the past, but I'd rather not deal with it.
Yeah.
Garcia, can you mute your mic when other people are talking, please?
Yeah, getting some echo from you. Yeah, I find that strange because.
Oh, go ahead.
I had myself. Yeah, sorry, I had myself muted. I didn't realize. So I find it strange. Like when you do a testimony in the court, you have to swear upon the Bible, but there's acknowledgement of a deity, but they won't do acknowledgement. Like somebody uses witchcraft to commit murder, they can get away with that murder because witchcraft is not acknowledged by the courts. So it's a blatant contradiction right there.
Exactly. It's really interesting. I mean, how do you get charged for anything if you've killed a person by a curse? Casting a curse from a distance and then just letting it run its course. And say that person dies. I've had people actually die from my curses that I could say, yes, this was probably due to my curse, and yet I could never be charged with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also maybe apply because astral projection. Like, let's say somebody uses astral projection to commit a murder or a killing, the courts can never charge them because astral projection is not acknowledged by the courts.
Well, Von Helton said you can't do anything. Like you can only observe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean, if you let somebody could achieve, psychicness, like pyromancy.
I don't know what that is.
Setting things on fire.
Have you ever seen the movie Firestarter?
Yeah.
Use your mind.
That's pyromancy.
Yeah. Setting things on fire with your mind.
Huh.
Because astral projection is just, the mind leaving the body. And so
yeah, that's how. Have you heard the story about Anton LaVey's daughter and how Anton LaVey died? It was he was doing astral projection, and it's just such a long story. There's so much that goes into it, but his daughter was trying to get help by this family, this Christian family, and they were helping, but he, obviously he was able to astral project and go into her body and stuff and talk to these guys through her, and he was trying to get her back for some ritual that they were doing, and they ended up getting her there, getting her to some hotel, and he was doing something, and they kept praying to cut the silver cord, and he literally died right there.
That's a load of BS.
I don't know. I mean, you can look the story up, but there's witnesses, the people that actually took her in.
Anton LaVey missing.
Yeah.
Anton LaVey was in a coma for at least 2 weeks before he passed away. He was in a medically induced coma. On top of that, he was intubated. He died of pulmonary edema. The people that were in his hospital room, he died in a hospital. It was his daughter Carla, from what I understand, his grandson Stanton, and his lover at the time, Blanche Barton. Xena, his other daughter, had moved to Germany and had completely severed ties. So,
I mean, I don't know. I can't argue with you about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
just
don't know
what
the
I've heard.
history. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to sit here. I know a lot of Christians like to spread rumors about Anton LaVey. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, he's the guy who called himself the Black Pope. The public acknowledged him as the Black Pope and everything else. But we've got to...
I think the devil acknowledged him as that too, right?
Well, yeah. But we've got to disseminate, what is fact from fiction in order to have the best accurate depiction of what went on there. We can't allow, and I would think even Christians could not allow, any sort of fictitious dissemination be going on, because the moment they start promoting something that's a fiction, they just blow their own arguments out of the water when it gets proven untrue. Just like what I just said right there. He was intubated, which means he had a tube down his throat, he couldn't speak, and he was in a medically induced coma with pulmonary edema. A lot of Christians tried to say at his last seconds, he said, oh my, something's wrong, something's wrong, and then he died. How could he have said that when he's got a tube crammed down his throat and he's unconscious?
Yeah, see, I didn't hear anything like that. I heard that he was astral
Oh, that's a
projecting.
popular rumor. That's a popular myth.
I'm sure
Yeah.
there's ones out there of him getting saved too. At his last moment.
Yeah, that's another one. It says that he got saved in his last seconds, that he called for the priest, and because he was in a Catholic hospital, and it was like St. Mary's something, and that he called for a priest and took, confession and converted at the last second, and he was saved. It's not true.
Okay, well, now I got a question. What about backfired curses? Have you had any experience with them or know anybody that has?
Yeah, curses backfiring is a thing. It can happen. You got to be careful about when you're doing a curse, because if you're not committed to it, yeah, it can backfire. A lot of that is especially true with Wicca, because Wicca has what's called the threefold law. And what the threefold law is, it's karma, basically. Anything you put out will come back to you times 3. It'll come back to you times 3 physically, spiritually, and emotionally, or mentally, however you want to look at that. And, so, 3 times 3 times 3 type deal. It's a whole big compound thing. If your curses aren't accurate, if you aren't fully dedicated to them, and especially in certain instances, if you are not justified in casting a curse, because certain deities, they will make sure that you are actually justified in your anger before they carry it out, then yeah.
And what classifies something as justified versus not justified?
That's a good question.
I would say it would all be circumstantial on how you feel that you were wronged. If you feel that you were deeply wrong, like say somebody breaks into your house and the person, they kill your dog, they steal your shit, and they never get caught, but you have a portion of their blood, you can use that to curse them. That would be justifiable. But if somebody just badmouths you on the street, or like say if that raging guy, he wants to run his mouth, yeah, I could cast a curse on him because he's being a douchebag, but am I really justified?
No.
Just because he's running his mouth?
Yep. Man, I'm so glad you said that.
I think somebody put a bad spell on my damn tacos that I ate earlier. Goodness gracious.
I find
have returned.
Oh, that's not good.
I find it funny, the idea of demons being more realistic.
I've been hearing about all these guys lately who want to have babies and stuff and know what it's like. I know what it's like. I don't want to do it again.
Dude, I didn't know you had a cooter installed.
Oh yeah. Oof. Oh, it looks like we got somebody called the Big Icky that wants to come in. Shall we see what they're about?
Big Icky.
Let's do it.
This is gonna
Hello,
be
Big Icky.
Hello,
What's your story?
Brett and Luke.
Okay.
Brendan, what? I didn't hear the last word.
Talk about
Brett
an
and
idiot.
Lucifer.
Kick him.
You could tell the way
Kick
that
him
he was
for what?
talking. It was just about
Kick
to
him.
go.
Yeah.
Why?
just
Why
him,
kick me?
Kick-
Why?
Just kick him.
What?
Just kick him.
Yeah,
we
just
don't
kick
give
him.
him a chance.
Nah,
kick
he's
him
not gonna-
out.
Give him a
All
chance.
right,
Give him a chance.
fucking nigger.
Okay. See you later.
That's why I should make it.
Oh boy. That's that atheist humanist behavior that we hear.
Yeah.
so much about.
Yeah, that is indeed.
A raging atheist. A
Yeah.
raging atheist.
And
if
I
you're
was
watching,
trying
who's
to,
the
you know
racist
what's
here?
really sad, Mr. Icky, is I was actually trying to defend you. I was supporting you. I was rooting for you to do the right thing. But under 5 seconds, you broke the atheist record of being the most stupidest bastard ever. Oh, that's terrible.
They can't even like fake it long enough to get in, you know?
He wasn't even faking it when he came in. He was like, "Hi, Brett."
Just
and
barely
Lucifer."
thinking about it. Just barely. Like, dude, at least make up your mind.
I hear you. I try to have
They always
hope
go
for
straight to the
humanity.
N word too. Sorry.
Why do they do that? For Missing Mod, why do they go for the N word? Why not something different? Why that
Be-
one?
Well, I think
racist.
I think they're trying to either get your channel banned or I don't know, because like most of them are gonna be leftists, and it's ironic that a leftist would be using the N word because they'll condemn the right wing for saying that word all the time.
They also claim to be the champions of homosexuality, but they'll be the first one to tell you to suck their cock. You know what I mean? Notice that? They're always projecting.
Oh, yes,
Well,
they do.
I mean, come on. It was the Democrats that founded the KKK, and Joe Biden himself was funded by KKK members.
Lucifer's bringing into history. Yeah.
Well, Joe Biden doesn't have his meds right now, so he doesn't even know what the hell he's part of.
Joe Biden right now is probably sitting by with a blanket on his lap, napping away, sniffing somebody's hair.
Not true. Or looking at possibly some really fucked up shit.
You know, Joe Biden,
I don't
every
even
time
think
I
he would
see
know
him
what he
on
was looking
TV,
at.
every time I see Joe Biden on television where he gets lost on stage, it reminds me of that scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta's kind of looking around after doing a head of coke. That exact type of scene.
Oh,
right
yes, I know you're.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, man, where am I? Come on, man. All right, let's get back to the topic. Everybody's thinking about a crackhead moment.
Did we actually have a topic? Oh, yeah, we were talking about magic. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah, there was something I was going to ask. Now I don't remember.
What about Ouija boards? Do you believe it's possible to actually have like a seance and summon up the dead or something to speak to them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love Ouija boards. Interesting thing, the modern Ouija board was first established in Baltimore, Maryland. Believe it or not. I used to live in Maryland. It was very interesting. But I have numerous Ouija boards as part of my collection. In a shadow box in my living room, there's a Ouija board on the wall. I have a very beautiful Ouija board that I love using. It's all wood with a beautiful lacquer finish, and it has a skull planchette. And, I've spoken to the guy who made that Ouija board. It was interesting because I had bought the planchette 10 years prior, hoping to one day find a Ouija board to partner with it. And I could never find a Ouija board partner with that planchette. Well, 10 years later, I go to the guy who made that planchette, and he has a Ouija board for sale that does not have a planchette partnered with it. And I got that Ouija board, and it was really interesting. 10 years apart, both items are made by the same guy, and they came together with me, and really awesome, really beautiful.
So what is your view on this? Some Christians are probably going to say if you see someone that's dead, it's not really them. It's going to be a demon or some kind of spirit or whatever. Do you believe that you can actually speak to someone that was once alive?
Well, usually the ones that do answer are typically demons because they're trying to get you to bait you into the terms and conditions. So basically, I'm not sure if you've been around YouTube or any other website besides YouTube, and you'll jump in, and then a question will come up. The question will ask, use entails agreements, but this is not punctuated, and that's intentionally left vague because it's not punctuated with a period, or it's not even punctuated with question mark. So it's kind of vagueness. So,
but it's kind of weird though. Even though Christianity teaches that the body remains dead until the return of Christ, there's a lot of Christians out there and people who have claimed to have died. And you know what I'm talking about, Lucifer. And they say they've seen their family members. Now, if their family members that they seen in this like moment where they're dead are giving them peaceful talk and bringing them contentment or joy, then why would you think they're a demon for it? What would be the point?
Some of them, it's most of the time it's demons, but yeah, you can certainly reach other human spirits. The reason the Christians don't think it's human spirits is because their dogmatic Bible that tells them that human ghosts they're neither in hell and neither in heaven, so they're like nowhere. They're nothing.
Asleep. They're asleep unless you're Catholic. Then they're walking around in some kind of weird void, right?
Yeah, I think the Catholic would be more correct. They're like in the the afterlife. Well, not the other side.
You're talking about Erebus, the walls of Erebus. And so if we're talking in movie lore, if you remember the Insidious movies, there's that place that they call the Further, which that's basically what you're talking about. It's the grave, Sheol, it's the walls of Erebus. It's darkness. Erebus is Latin for the word darkness. So, no, actually, when you're using a Ouija board, it is not always demons that come through. Actually, most of the time, it's not a demon. It is actually a proper spirit. Is it always going to be a friendly spirit? No. Spirits can be hostile just as much as humans can. Sometimes you get a few that are just trolls, just like you would get here. When we get people trying to call in, we get, our fun little trolls.
What is it?
The main thing to remember about a Ouija board is it's an open channel. It's when you're utilizing a Ouija board, it's like getting on a ham radio and sending your signal out there. Anybody who is on the same frequency as you can respond. That could be a demon, that could be a ghost, that could be an angel, it could be anything. So you don't know what is responding initially. And this is what makes a Ouija board so dangerous, is that unless you know what you're doing, you shouldn't be playing around with them. And if you don't know how to close it out or whatnot, that's where people run into problems.
Do you think the Ouija board is actually what is being used here, or is it that the Ouija board causes a person to be able to get into the belief or zone that something's going to happen or get on that frequency? It's not really the board, is it? It's the person's belief, you'd think. What do you think?
The board is just a tool. That's all it is. It's literally like a ham radio. It is a piece of equipment. The board itself has no more or any less, has no more power or any less power than what you give it. Yes, belief does have a play in it, but it's also treating this tool with a modicum of respect. What you're talking about is a two-part tool. You have the board with the alphabet on it, with numbers, and it's set up in a specific way. And then you have your planchette, which is a focal point. So when they're together, they're a powerful tool. When you separate them, they're nothing. And this is where most people fuck up. They want to store the Ouija board underneath their bed with the planchette sitting on top of it. What do you think is going to come through? That's like having an open doorway. And then people don't close it out right. They don't say goodbye. They don't dismiss the spirit right. It's stupidity like that. And then weird shit starts happening and their own psyche starts getting the better of them.
I got an interesting question for you, and this is a question I used to ask whenever I was, before I became a Christian. I used to ask this to religious people. The question I would ask is, can God and the devil actually work out their issues? I'd love to hear from a satanic perspective. Can God and the devil actually work out their differences?
Look at the book of Job. Satan had already left heaven. At that point, God calls a conference of his angels, not once, but twice. Satan shows up. God's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm still one of your angels. You called for a conference. Here I am. So, yeah. That's right in the Bible, guys. That's the book of
I
Job.
never thought about that. I never thought about it like that.
Well, it's true. He does interact with him, and there's quite a few times, especially in the New Testament, where Satan seems to have Jesus's number and Jesus has his, so they do have contact for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they could ever resolve their differences, because the difference is that God is God and that the devil wants to be God. Only one can be, God, which is to say Almighty.
Show me where in the Bible Satan says he wants to be God.
I mean, that wasn't the whole point of his rebellion?
No.
Well, that's something that a lot of religious folks will say, but
Hmm.
if you look, the only time Satan is mentioned as God is in the New Testament, whenever it says Satan is the god of this world. But that's God actually declaring that Satan is God of this world.
God of the nation.
Satan is declared the god of the flesh and of this world.
Yeah, but it's strange because it says Satan is the god of the nations, but if you go in the Old Testament, Yahweh is the god of the nations.
Yahweh, which is also known as Sekel or Yaldabaoth or any number of other names, is a creator deity. That's all he is. He's a deity that created our creation. Now, whether or not he had permission to do that is totally debatable and off this topic. He is a creator deity. But Satan, even in the Bible, you can actually look this up in the Bible, Satan is flat out declared as the god of this world and of the flesh.
I'm looking at Mark Reed out here. Mark Reed's a decent fella. He's welcome to come in if he likes. He's not a theist, though. He says, actually, generally, it's stated that angels rebelled because God loved humans more than angels. I've heard that, but I don't recall in the Bible where God actually says that he loves humans more than angels and all that. It seems like the angels serve him, whether they're doing something horrific or good, or they're sending a message.
I think the devil persuaded him myself, because whatever his problem was. But.
Well, see, the thing is originally, and this is how our literature is that the angels came to life at the same time as God. Lucifer, Michael, and God. Excuse me, I got the burp ups now. They all woke up at the same time. And then God started to say, hey, everybody serves me. And the angels weren't really arguing with that. And Lucifer was like, well, wait a second. We all have our own intelligence, our own creativity. We should choose whether or not we want to serve you or not. And he flashed his light, his brilliance, his illumination to all the angels and gave them the power of choice. And that's what caused the rebellion. That was the actual initial rebellion, was that Lucifer revealed to the angels that they had a choice of who they wanted to serve.
Oh.
I think people must get this stuff from the Book of the Apocrypha. Or do you got something else lore-wise to get this from?
Yeah, you can find this in the Gnostic texts.
Yeah, the Gnostic texts are actually going to be one of the biggest locations to find most of the satanic literature, because it is Christian lore, but it gives an alternative to Christian lore. And even Satanists say the Gnostic texts were some of the oldest satanic literature there is.
I think the Gnostic texts have some of the more interesting parts of the Bible, because at one point Judas takes Jesus aside, and then tells Jesus, upon which he had a vision, in which Christians will be the ones who lead the downfall of man. He tells Jesus, I saw upon the altar of how people sacrificed kids and mutilated themselves and took upon degeneracy, and the ones who were promoting this were the apostles. And then Jesus.
Yep.
Well, it does make sense when you read the book of Revelation. Who's the first group of people that God goes after? The church. Goes after the hypocrisy and the Sadducees and all that.
Exactly.
I always think about it, or I say it like this, like the Bible is a legal document. And so I don't think that the things that were put in it are important to the end and what's going to happen, the judgment, but it explains like how we got there, but it leaves out things that aren't that important, I guess, is what I think. Who wrote the Gnostic Gospels? Do we know?
Just like the normal Bible, there was many different authors to it. The Gnostic texts come from several different Gnostic tribes that they were deliberately kept out. They were deliberately kept out of the Bible, and yeah.
You know what? I get myself in trouble with Missing Mod and Mr. Lucifer. You've probably heard. Have you heard of the Christians? They have kind of a name for them called the Greasy Gracers. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, free grace. I'm fighting them all the time.
Yeah, the issue that I have, besides the verse in James where it says faith without works is dead, it actually tells you in Revelation that God's going to not only judge us on our faith, but our works. So I'm always hearing religious folks, run around like chickens with their head cut off saying, oh, it's not important works. You could literally sit around all day eating Twinkies and Doritos and just pray to Jesus every once in a while and you're saved. But it seems like there's a little bit more to that. And that really pisses off religious folks. That's why I can't go to church often.
I mean, if you actually push them on them, the free graces, they will admit that you can be like a horrendous serial killer pedophile who worships Satan and still go to heaven. Yeah, you have to.
But when you're saved, it changes your heart, and not just that, but it only takes one sin, and you're done. So like it just can't be. Yeah, it's if you accept the blood of Christ, it's good for you're good. It's not going to wear out, right? Like you wouldn't disown your kid if they did something wrong. You would correct them, and that's basically what it says, that he corrects his children.
So
I'm not saying because
you believe once saved, always saved?
Yeah. Yep.
Even if somebody takes a chainsaw to a bunch of children and all that, they're going to be fine after it's all said and done?
Well, think about it like a psychopath, somebody that's got something mentally wrong with them. I mean, I believe that you can get saved and still, be susceptible to because I don't think a human being, like in their heart, well, no, there are people that in their heart want to kill people, but there's something demonic going on there. If you're going to do something like that, I can't really answer to what everybody's individual, desires are, but I know that it changes your heart, and it's a noticeable change. And for the most
part, doesn't that feel? I mean, one of the big reasons why me and Lucifer get on to atheist, as we say, because it leads to nihilism, where there's no purpose or meaning or no point to life. Now, if the Christians convince themselves that they can go out and fucking take a chainsaw to an entire kindergarten of children and get away with it and still go to heaven, that's a form of nihilism too. Life has no purpose, no meaning. You don't have to do shit in order to do better for yourself.
Well, see, I would need a positive example, like a real example of that happening, before I can answer,
Okay, I'll give you somebody, Jeffrey Dahmer. This is kind of reversal though. He went out, he ate people, he chopped people up. He was a nasty bastard. Towards the end of his life in prison, right before he dies, he accepted Jesus Christ. He said, look, I'm reading creationism stories. Hell, Kent Hovind says he even sent the man books before he was killed.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
So people say that he accepted Christ, and he seems sincere as far as sociopaths are.
Well, here's the thing.
Right, but he seemed different. He seemed like he had guilt. You know,
Well,
like the way he was talking about it was he wanted to change. You know, he knows other people were feeling the same way he was.
Well, here's the thing. Just because you accept Jesus Christ doesn't mean Jesus Christ has to accept you. And this is what the free graces don't understand. Just because you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior doesn't mean you automatically take away Jesus's free will and he therefore must now save you just because you believed. No, Jesus doesn't have to tolerate you.
When you're born,
But wait a second. Wait a second.
There's a you
Hang
get
on,
an
Missing.
invitation. Yeah.
Missing. I'm going to interject here. The Christian Darth, the Christian text literally says it doesn't matter what you've done, so long as you accept Jesus, you get a clean slate. This is exactly what the texts say. And so now you're saying that that's not exactly the state, which don't get me wrong. I agree with that statement, but that's running in contradiction to what the actual documentation says. Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys.
No, I'm not trying to be hateful, but the Bible literally can be used like a political manual. That's the reason why I feel like there's so many denominations, because people can get passages and say, yep, this is the way. And then somebody else can come along and say, nah, it's this way. And here's the verses for it. It's a political manual.
Yeah.
But think about it. Think about it. Like,
Well, even
if
Kent
that's the way it
asked
works,
me if Satanists did the same thing, and I'd say, yeah, we do.
if you can lose your salvation, none of us are going to make it. None of us. I know I'm not. It doesn't make sense.
The way is narrow, though, dear. When I think of narrow, I'm thinking a mouse hole type of narrow. That's how I visualize it.
Well, Missing, if you're not going to be saved, you're more than welcome to come down south with me, and we can all have a party.
But Alice Cooper won't be there because he's a Christian.
Oh, Alice Cooper is definitely going to be there. Same with Ozzy, same with everybody else. Jimi Hendrix, he's down there already having a...
Not if that once saved, always saved is the case, though. If some Christians are right about that, then Alice Cooper and Megadeth are going to heaven.
Well, Alice Cooper admitted he was just doing it for funsies. It was just, a pretend show. Yeah, I'm not sure you've seen his interviews. He's like, I was just doing it for fun. It's not something I was taking serious.
Does anybody think that
he
Elvis
loves
is in hell?
talking Bible? Looks like Raging's back with us. He says he loves talking about the Bible. Are we sure we don't want to bring him in here? We might convert him tonight.
Fuck him.
Oh boy, that's
man.
not gonna be good.
Lucifer says, hell no, let him go to hell.
Fuck Raging. I have nothing to say to that. If you let him in here, it's going to turn into a shit show, and you'll be kicking me out.
Oh, it's gonna be a shit show. I'll be just going toxic all over his ass.
So you don't want it to turn into a shit sandwich without the bread, I take it. All right.
Well, maybe you can have him on another show, and then we can know. Because maybe we can't have Lucifer and Rage in the same room, but maybe in another show.
I also don't think it's a good time because Lucifer's feeling really under the weather. He's not feeling good, and he's not up for that kind of bullshit right now. And Raging is a tough case to babysit. I have to make his mom pay double whenever I'm babysitting. It's Mark Reed. How you doing there, you handsome fella, you?
Hello, Brett. How you doing, mate?
Just chilling out. You come in to talk about the Bible with us. You seem like you were doing some good comments out there.
Yeah, I think that I mean a lot of comments have been really interesting. I don't really get into the once saved all saved, only tangentially, because I don't really have a dog in that race. You know what I mean? Like works or great free grace. I don't I don't believe in either, so I don't have a dog in that race. But it's weird to think that somebody, like as a punishment system goes, that someone could go out, have the most horrible life imaginable, and sort of just recant all that on their deathbed and then get an eternal reward. There's something about it that doesn't seem fair to me. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a very good system for making or getting people to do the right thing. It seems like a system where people will go out and do anything they want, and then sort of you do see these people that sort of sin on the weekend and confess on Monday and then they're good kind of thing. So I think that's sort of what I would suggest it leads to. I mean,
well,
you
I
have your
agree. I
opinion.
agree with you, Mark. To me, it sounds totally unfair, and it's something I brought up with brothers and sisters in Christ a couple dozen times, and they kind of just look at me like I'm an asshole.
Now, Mark, before we continue, you got my million yet?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a question for you, Bubbles. Why are you using Emma's picture? Like,
What are you
what
talking about?
is that?
No,
Emma
this is Darth
Thorne?
No, that's Darth Tyrannus. I don't know who Emma Thorne is. I'm
Yeah,
Darth
Emma
Tyrannus.
Thorne's an English atheist, as you very well know. I mean,
Nah,
sort of. So,
Darth
under,
Tyrannus is a Nazi god-worshipping theist.
yeah,
Bubblegum,
so
I told you a while back that Avatar was going to get you in trouble, man.
It's a joke. Yeah,
I know it's a
um,
joke, but some people are going to come in and are going to be like, "Why is there a gun pointed at her head for? Oh no!" You know.
maybe that's why Rage thinks of like a Nazi. It's probably the Avatar.
oh, I just see it as sort of, so why are you lying? Isn't lying like a sin, or something to be not done in your theology? Well, why would you be lying?
I'm not
about
Christian.
Get him, Mark. Get him.
I'm not
Yeah,
Christian.
but do you have any moral standards at all?
Moral
Is
standards.
lying okay? Yeah.
You mean like objective moral standards?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I think any either moralism, whether it's
I'll be right
objective,
back, guys.
well, subjective moralism is just a mental delusion. It's just people with a mental disorder.
I'll be
But
right
I'm
back.
not
Come
talking
and get me
about-
some ice water, and you guys figure out
Okay,
who the
Brett.
most evil bastard in the world is.
No worries. But I'm not talking about a necessarily objective moral standard. I'm asking you what your moral standards are.
Well, if there is morality, it has to be objective, because if it's subjective, then it's just people's mental disorder.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking you about your moral foundation. Like, where does it come
No,
from? and what is
I
it?
don't believe in objective morality. No.
Okay, so do you have any moral standard, and where does it come from? I'm asking you if you have any moral standard.
So I don't believe in objective morality. And so if you're going to say, do I have a subjective moral
You
standard?
do realize that the morality can be subjective and you can have a moral standard, right?
Yeah, but I'm defining subjective morality as a mental disorder. No, I don't have a mental disorder.
Okay, so you have a mental... Well, if you don't have objective morality, then it's non-objective, which makes it subjective, which you've now defined as a mental disorder.
I don't have a subjective moral standard.
So it's subjective.
No, yes, I don't have a mental disorder. You call it a subjective standard.
Okay, so it's subjective. Where does that sort of moral foundation come from?
I don't have a subjective moral standard because I
I'm
don't have a
talking
mental
about
disorder.
Look, you said you had an objective objective moral standard.
I
Where does
don't.
that objective moral... You don't have objective, and it's not subjective.
I don't believe in moral, period.
What's wrong with the
So
picture?
you're a moral nihilist.
Yes.
You're a moral nihilist. Okay, well, that explains a lot. So you don't think there's any reason to have any kind of limits on human behavior in any way? There isn't anything we ought to do whatsoever?
No, there is no oughts.
Wow, that's horrifying.
Mark Reed, you're an atheist.
So
there's nothing in your worldview that can say, raping kids is objective or objectively wrong.
So
you say,
let me ask you this, Darth.
Well,
let me ask you this.
hang on
Excuse me.
a second. Hang on. No. I gotta answer this question. Like, this was posed at me, and I really feel like I have to stand up for it. Just because I don't think there's anything objective about it doesn't mean I don't have a moral standard that says that is horrendously an atrocity. That's an atrocity. Whereas you're basically saying, hey, I don't think that's wrong at all, because I still think it's wrong under my moral standard.
No,
you don't think it's wrong at all.
No, Margaret, you only think it's wrong when it's done to you. You don't think it's wrong when it's done to people you don't like.
Okay, so that's telling me what my thoughts are, and you don't know my thoughts.
How about this, guys?
Well, just a sec. You're projecting what you think my thoughts should be on me, which is wrong. You can't tell what my thoughts are, and I'm telling you what I think. And it's incredibly rude to sit there and go, well, this is what you think. You know, I'm not doing that for you. I'm just taking it as a moral nihilist thinks that there is no oughts. I think that there are oughts, and you ought not to do that, is my position.
Your odds are merely your opinion, and
Can
I
I say
don't
one
care
thing?
about your opinion.
But where are each individual measuring their oughts? Darth, do
about
you
the
have
Bigfoot
any
Jesus
sorts of
thing?
code of conduct?
Because that
Do you
that
have
upsets
any sort
Tom.
of written code of conduct? Mark, same with you. Do you have any sort of written code of conduct? Something
Yes.
like your own version of the Ten Commandments?
Yes, absolutely.
Could you share them with us, please?
Yeah, sure. My
Hold on. Missing Mod's been trying to get in there. Let
Sorry,
her
Missing
hit
Mod.
real-
Yeah, MM. Sorry.
And then
Sorry, I'll
answer,
get back to that
answer
later.
Mr.
Yeah, no worries.
Lucifer. And then answer Mr. Lucifer. Go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to make the point about the Bigfoot Jesus thing and Stump. I mean, Stump, that offended him, you know, and it was, you know, I think that we should just let it go. I don't know what's wrong with the picture, but there could be some kind of thing going on that I don't realize, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But that's me, so I guess that's my opinion.
All right, go ahead now, Mark.
Yeah, well, just to sort of say to Missing Mod, yeah, and I think that sort of moral variations in morals definitely do exist, regardless of, you know, whether you believe there is an objective moral standard behind it or not. We definitely have different views on morality, but my moral standard is usually based upon I'm a meta-ethical relativist. So I think your meta-ethics are basically how to put this in a way that's easy to understand. So if you have a game of chess kind of thing, the rules are your meta-ethics. It's the goal is to win the game of chess. Now, we just made the rules of chess up. There's no reason why bishops can't move, you know, in straight lines, you know, and pawns move diagonally, for instance. That's all subjective. But once you have those rules in place, you have some well, they're not objective standards, but they're definitely standards that apply on a meta-ethical basis of how to get you to that goal. So I base mine on human well-being. That's my goal for everything. So everything that goes against human well-being is immoral under that meta-ethical standard.
And what is well-being?
It is the physical and mental health of humans. I mean, we can measure that objectively.
Do you think to support people's gender dysphoria is good to their well-being, to promote LGBT standards?
Is this like just some kind of red herring?
I'm asking you.
I think it's a valid question. I would like to hear an answer.
Yeah, so a lot of the evidence shows that the way that gender dysphoria works is actually neurological. That the actual brain, the physical alignment of the neurons in the brain is actually contributing to it's more like a female's than it is a male's in a male body. So I guess the question then becomes, if you are in fact saying that that's a problem, then why is a God going around putting sort of more female brains in male bodies is a question.
We're asking about your well-being.
Excuse me, Dar. Do you believe children can have gender dysphoria considering that their brains are still developing?
Yeah, I think they can. Sure.
Do you think it might naturally sort itself out by the time they mature?
Maybe. It really does depend. It's a very, very new field that we don't have that much information on, which is why I would advocate that sort of treatments and things like that, irreversible treatments, be sort of left until they are of a certain age. And I think the best people to decide that isn't just people on the internet talking about it. I think they should be medical staff with the knowledge of how that affects their bodies, what the disadvantages can be. And I think there should be a rigorous process to tell. But this all seems like a red herring because we're sort of going away from morality at a large rate to a sort of dog whistle that you know some people like to do whenever anything comes up.
Well, no, it's definitely not a dog whistle. It's an honest question. Do you think that it is fair to the child? The parent makes the decision for them to have their sex chemically and surgically altered before they have time to fully mature physically and make that
I
decision
didn't
of their
say
own.
surgically. I didn't say surgically. I
No,
said
I'm
that they
asking
should be
you
at a
to.
certain
I'm
age.
asking you a morality question.
Yeah, I think that we ought to listen to the medical advice of those people who have spent their entire lives working in the field, and less from sort of people that have absolutely no experience with the medical, psychological, physiological effects of any of these things. I think
So let me
the
make
best
sure
way
I'm
forward.
understanding
Well,
you
no,
correctly.
this is. Hang on a second. This isn't an interrogation, Lucifer. So I want to ask some questions back. Are
That's
you
perfectly
happy
fine. I just
with
want to
not?
make sure I'm understanding you
Do
correctly.
you think we
You're
ought not to do something about that and leave the, obviously there is rates of death among people who do experience gender dysphoria. Do you think we should abandon them to just, take it on their own? What would you suggest be the way around that?
Well, me personally, I would say they make their bed, they deal with it. But if they're willing to confront it on their own, then that's their business. My question was going to be to you, would be to confirm whether or not you're saying that the parents should have no say so.
No, of course not.
Okay,
Look,
so
young
a mother
people,
should not say.
Well, let me answer.
No,
let me
wait,
answer.
Mark.
No.
Please let me
Don't
finish
let me
my
just
statement.
do
I've let you finish your
one word.
statement.
No. I can't just give one word and then you cut me off and keep on going. What I'm saying is the best.
Well, that's what you've been doing to me here. That's exactly what you've been doing to me. You've been.
This isn't an interrogation, mate. Like, let me actually talk.
You've been talking. You've been talking. And we've been letting you talk. And then whenever somebody would like to ask you a question, you immediately talk over them.
Questions. You've been asking questions, lots of them. So
Like
I think is
right here.
What I think is that we should have, like, for instance, with people that are too young or incapable of making their own decisions, yes, they should have people like parents. Like, we don't let children decide to, do something dangerous without their parents' consent because they're too young to make those decisions. That's perfectly reasonable. Now, but I do want to sort of examine, excuse me, I do want to examine what you mean by they make their bed, let's lie in it. Do you feel the same thing about any people with a large incidence of sort of rates of injury and death from mental illness? Do you feel the same about all of them, like military veterans and say young men kind of thing? Do you think we should just not help people with mental illness or any kind of
I'm a
life issues at all?
Darwinist. I believe in survival of the fittest.
Okay, so let them go.
If that's what nature intends, if they're able to survive, if they're able to push through it, then they're all the stronger for it. If they're not, well, then it's nature doing its thing. Is it kind? Is it nice? Absolutely not.
Okay, so you don't understand evolution, because when you say it's Darwinism, we don't sort of Darwinist. So
how did you get
evolutionism
from that statement?
Well,
how did you get evolutionism from that statement?
You said Darwinism.
Yes, I said I am a Darwinist. I am a social Darwinist. I am a Satanist.
Okay.
Let's make sure we understand what my beliefs state. My beliefs state Lex Talionis, the survival of the fittest, the rule of fang and claw. And I know you're immediately going to look up Lex Talionis, look it up in Anton LaVey's terminology.
Oh, so you're an advocate of pseudoscience. I gotcha. So you think
that
what
is pseudoscience? What is pseudoscience?
It's
who are you to determine what is and isn't pseudoscience? Is Brett?
Let me answer.
No. You've already talked over enough.
Retard alert! Retard alert, class!
You asked me a question. You asked me what is pseudoscience. If you don't want me to answer, don't ask the question.
Well, I'm asking you who has the right to determine what is pseudoscience. Because my time doing these live streams,
do you just ask questions and then answer for people? Is that what you do?
I'm not answering anybody's questions. I'm doing the exact same thing to you that you've been doing to everybody else and railroading over them.
I don't ask people questions and then answer that statement.
That's exactly what you've been doing, dude.
When? What did I ask you?
Recently, you moron.
All right, guys.
Wow.
All right, guys. Let's try to get it back on the topic here. Everybody's getting excited. There's a lot of love in here. I'm feeling Elton John happening here. Now, let me ask you something. You were mentioning veterans and people with mental illness and all that.
Yeah.
So I take it that you see people that have gender dysphoria as being mentally ill. So
No.
Well, then why did you if you don't mind me asking, and I won't disrespect you, Mark, but we were talking about gender dysphoria, and then you brought up mental illness. So I got the idea that you were making a comparison analogy. Go ahead and fix that if that's not the issue.
Yes. So gender dysphoria is just one sort of thing, and it can be what we understand of it can be neurologically based, but people who are in the trans community, they do experience a lot of things like depression, anxiety, all of these other symptoms, mostly which is caused by the way society treats them to a large degree. So there is a prevalence of mental health issues in the trans community. I'm not against reality. That's the reality of the situation. But I think that a lot of that is garnered from sort of the way that they're treated and the stigma and people putting them down and perhaps, sort of a lack of acceptance. The rates go down fairly rapidly when we have things like gender affirming care, for instance, or support groups to help them. But what sort of makes me so I'm not saying that itself is a mental illness. I'm saying that community does have a lot of mental health issues, like veterans have a lot of mental health issues.
Oh, I get you now. I follow.
Yeah.
What about the trans disabled or the trans age, though? Those who claim to be 6 years old when they're actually 50, or people who fantasize about disabling themselves or cutting off limbs because they feel uncomfortable with a body part.
Yeah, I don't think that that's got any kind of merit to it. I really think that would be sort of self-inflicted harm. I don't know how that plays into the trans thing though.
Because
so
a child says that I think I'm a little girl and my mommy and daddy, I'll sue their ass if they don't let me go get my parts chopped off. You know what I mean?
But as I said, Brett, I don't think that's, I don't think that we let children make decisions until they are in fact adults.
I agree with you.
Here's the thing. I think this is just a red herring because we were talking about sort of theology, and I came in for the theology discussion, and then it went to morality, and I sort of started to ask Bubblegum Gun about his morality and why he would do, sort of lie and things like that, which I consider to be immoral because of the harms it can do to society. In some cases, sure. But now
Mark,
we're on to excuse me, just talk over me. Yeah, that's great. But now we're sort of onto a trans issue, which I feel is as soon as religious people get into a corner, they bring up and sort of try to hit you over the head with. And it's just going back to, well, why won't you discuss your morality and get onto, mine? Why aren't we discussing the sort of moral nihilist position right now that was brought up?
Well, Mark, I think the reason why it was brought into the conversation, this is my theory. Yeah. These guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were trying to find each other's moral foundation, your compass. And whenever someone says they want to benefit the tribe, like tribalism, someone's going to come along and say, well, what exactly do you mean by benefit? Because some people think it would benefit the tribe if you take all the old dysfunctional people out and throw rocks at them until they're gone so they don't take up resources. Right. So what's your thoughts on that?
Right. So I think that we have to have at a base level a sort of, rights that people do have. Now, I would base that sort of on a Maslow's hierarchy. Every human needs certain things in order to have a fulfill or to be well. Okay, so if you have sort of things like bodily integrity, bodily autonomy, sort of a all of these sort of rights that you have, as well as the physical stuff, like in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's stuff like sustenance, food, water, shelter, things like that. I think we can base a base level of rights upon human needs, both physical and psychological.
Well, here's the contradiction with Mark's statement. He came in saying, we should have this his subjective morals in which we shouldn't lie, but Mark would have us lie to everybody, and especially people in the Mark, I'm talking, and Mark would have us lie to people in the LGBT community to affirm their gender identity. So if a man identifies as a woman, well, we just have to go with that lie. So already there's a contradiction. Mark's subjective standard. Mark
so
is
you're
willing.
saying that Mark is endorsing mental illness, basically.
I'd like to address that. So I didn't say it was wrong to lie. Okay, so there's instances where. Okay, can I speak?
Well, okay, Mark. You said there's instances. It sounds like you're about to justify lying, but go ahead.
Yeah, so there's instances. Well, sure. Like if you're in a house in Germany and the Nazis are knocking on the door looking for the Jewish people living in your attic, and they're going to kill you and the Jewish people if they know they're there, if they know you've been harboring Jewish people, then yeah, that's a good case for, hey, it is moral. That is what you ought to do.
But what if I'm not?
Excuse me, hold it. I hadn't finished talking. So in order to fulfill that human well-being, then that would be a case where it is good to lie. But sort of if you're lying to sort of fool people and make them unsettled, or you've got an atheist come into the room and you're just being really disingenuous and saying, who is this person? I've never heard of them before, when quite obviously you have. Then that may not, you ought not to lie in order to do that. So it really depends on what you're trying to get to, in order to, are you trying to help people and sort of, help them, or are you trying to do something different?
Mark, do you think it helps people to?
Now, I just want to ask Mark something real quick. Mark, you brought up a really good case scenario. Some Germans come in, Jews are in the basement. Now, what if in the scenario you or I are in this scenario, and we find that we have a weapon and the Germans aren't looking? Would we be morally correct if we had the upper hand to take them out right then and there, just blast them, so the Jews aren't in trouble anymore? Would that be morally good?
Well, I don't know. There's so many variables that would rely on. Like, would you be able to get away with it without your family and friends and them taking action against everybody around you? Would those Jews then be safe, or would the blast bring more people? Would you have a way for them to escape the Nazi regime instead of, because obviously you can't hide that forever. There's so many things there to take into consideration. And I'm not saying that I have all the morals are one of the most complex subjects you're ever going to discuss. And that's why trolley problems exist, right? Like if you move the trolley this way or that way, if there's criminals on one track and orphans on the other, do you pull the lever to move the trolley? I hope you're all familiar with trolley problems. And it quickly becomes evident that we can just try to make the best decisions we can on the information that we have. But that doesn't mean I don't have a moral situation. So the ought in that, whatever the situation may be, the ought will be what leads to the best amount of human well-being. If you kill the Nazis and then are killed in turn, that's obviously the worst outcome. If you kill the Nazis and manage to get, hundreds of Jews across the border, then that's what you ought to do.
Margaret,
so it depends on
Margaret, do you define the mental states of people within the LGBT community as well-being?
The mental states as well-being. I don't even know.
I have to ask, Darth, can you please state that a little bit better? Because not even I understood what you were going for there.
Would you define the mental state of those people within the LGBTQ community as well?
As well.
Yeah, because you said we
are you asking if they're psychologically sound?
Yes, because Mark Reed wants to push his his idea of subjective moralism for the soundness, the well-being, but he hasn't.
Subjective moralism. I don't
Your
even.
subjective
Okay,
moral.
I think I understand what's being asked here. You're asking if Mark believes that a gay person is a sane person, or if they're insane for wanting to sleep with the same gender. Is that correct? Is that what you're asking?
Okay, that I can understand. Okay, so
hang on, Mark.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, sorry.
Darth, is that what?
Yeah, and not just homosexuals, but people who who have cut off their willy and have gender.
Well, no, that's going somewhere different. Let's keep it to the homosexuals. Are you asking if he believes that homosexuals are sane?
Yeah, the whole groups within the LGBT community, which would include them.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Okay, so it's difficult, almost impossible to say, is this whole group sane, right? That's one thing that you can't do, because I could say, hey, the entirety of the military isn't sane, or the entire, really you're looking at individuals. I don't think the criteria is being like queer or gay or any of these things is a criteria for being ill, though, mentally unwell. I think that there are people in the community that are mentally unwell, and there are people who are not mentally unwell in the community. Just like any community out there, even Christians, there's some people in it mentally unwell. So asking about the entire thing seems very, very flawed. But I wouldn't make if you're asking, is anybody with sort of an LGBTQI association mentally unwell? No, that's perfectly sane.
So you think this would be, you would define that as mental well-being, right?
Sure.
There it is. So you think people who cut off their willies are mentally well-being?
Well, where does going from homosexual to people coming off their willies to being mentally?
I mean, including
this is how we drift from topic to topic. That is transgenderism, not homosexuality. And I'm going to flat out state, I'm going to state that a person who's gay is in their perfect mental state. We have plenty of gay people in STS, and even my second in command, he is a gay man, and he is perfectly of sound mind. Now take a person who is wanting to mutilate their genitals, then you have a room to question, is this a psychological thing or is this a personal choice thing? And that's two totally separate topics.
So I'm wondering, would Mark Reed promote that in his his will?
Well, I think when you're talking about sort of mental states and mental illness and stuff, I don't think any of us here are qualified to judge who is mentally well and mentally unfit. This is what I'm trying to say. I think that should be left up to people who spend their entire lives studying what it means to be mentally well. Like, there are people that have decades of research on this. And in fairness, transgender is a new topic. It is something that's new, and they are working on the research. I've read multiple papers where they do, like, it seems like for transgenderism, the whole thing is, well, we do need more, like, this is what it seems, right? This is what we can gather from the research, but it needs more research. And that's where they're focusing their efforts, because it is an area that we need more information on.
Mark, if I can interject for 1 second, then you can.
Sure.
Transgenderism has been a topic of study for thousands of years. We can actually go back and look in documentation of men mutilating their genitals to be more feminine, going back thousands of years. Guys dressing as women for various reasons. It could be anything from being in a stage production all the way to actually being prostitutes. It goes back thousands of years. You can actually look it up. So transgenderism in and of itself is not a new topic. It's just within the past 50 or so years, we now have the medical ability to engage that.
Yeah,
that's all I was interjecting on there.
No, that's fine. No, and I see what you mean. Yeah, but what I'm sort of saying is that even though this behavior has been around, and I know it's been around, I know what you're talking about, that you do have societies like ancient India with sort of multiple gender roles that carried over. And there's a few other ancient civilizations with multiple gender roles throughout their society. But now we have the opportunity to look at, well, I guess my question would be, why would we look at it in the light of thousands of years ago instead of sort of modern medical studies where we can use stuff like MRIs and scans to actually find out how the brain is working?
Well, Mark, one of the issues is, I mean, I agree with you. There are people out there that are obviously more qualified than us in the room to be able to discuss such matters. But the problem is with these higher ups and these qualified folks is you got a bunch of them over here who are saying one thing and a group over here saying another. There are doctors out there who are stating that this is a mental illness, and that it's been in the medical books as a mental illness. And then you got another group who says, oh, it's perfectly natural. It's just something that happened.
Well,
so who do you
was,
listen to?
But so was autism was seen as a mental illness until we had an understanding. It is you think it's a mental illness. Interesting. So until we understand from neurology that it's a neurological state, it's not actually to do with the mental state at all. It's to do with the neurological structure of the brain, and that's what I'm trying to get across. That just because something you see,
can we have really quickly? Can we have something that Brett? Can you look up something to differentiate what qualifies as a neurological illness to a mental illness? That way, we know what we're all talking about here. Can you throw something like that up?
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, mental illness. Let's look this up.
Sorry, Mark. I figured that would be a very appropriate thing to.
No, fair enough. Well, I sort of see it, and the way that I look at it, because I'm on the autism spectrum myself, so I sort of look at it as neurology is sort of the structure and the functionality of the brain, like how it actually its synaptic responses work, how its neurons work, how the physical structure of the brain works, while mental states are more behavioral. They're things that we do over and over kind of thing. So for instance, anorexia nervosa, for instance, would be a mental illness. It would be a behavioral thing that you're doing as a reaction to some sort of stressor or some sort of trauma event, for instance, like PTSD would be a mental illness. So that would be in response to the experience of going through a lot of trauma during wartime, for instance. Right. But a neurological state is kind of your brain is sort of, you're born, and I hate this term, but hardwired for it. It's the physical structure of the brain. So with autism, that's not a behavioral thing. Like babies are literally born with a different a different neurological structure than everybody else. Same with things like
on the spectrum, though, too, Mark. It's
sure.
obvious. It's obvious that you're a high functional on the spectrum.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are people out there who are like Rain Man, where they literally cannot function on their own, who are high on the spectrum order. Very, very intelligent and all that. But Rain Man example, you know what I mean?
Is that Christian?
Huh?
I know Christian, but I don't know Rain Man.
Rain Man, like in the Dustin Hoffman movie with Tom Cruise.
Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise. It was a really good movie. I only saw it once. But
Gotta get my underwear at Walbrook. Gotta get my underwear at Walbrook. Yeah. You remember that?
So and even though there is people on the spectrum, and what you've got to understand is that everybody's sort of on the spectrum, if you want to look at it like that, let's just that the autistic people are down the high end of that sort of different brain development. The thing is that even though they may be low functioning and they might need a lot of assistance, it doesn't mean that they're not. It's suddenly a mental illness. It's still neurological, regardless of other things might come with it. Like there may be mental illness that comes with it. Like if a child with autism cannot assimilate to a normal school structure. They might experience depression. They might experience anxiety. These are mental illnesses, not neurological conditions. They're a secondary effect, but it doesn't mean that the initial autism is a mental illness rather than neurological. And here's the thing, another neurological condition is stuff like epilepsy, right? So you wouldn't go to somebody with epilepsy and go, oh, well, you got to get your crap together. That's not something you would do because it's a neurological. There's no way to rewire, or at the moment, there's no way to rewire the brain. And a lot of the research coming out is suggesting that being transgender is actually neurological, that when they scan these brains of people, they have a tendency to like the physical structure shows more like a woman's brain in a man than it is a man's brain, which means that it is neurological. But again, I want to couch that and say that it suggests that, but a lot more research has to be done on it. That's I won't lie and say, hey, they've absolutely discovered it. No, definitely more research needs to be done on it.
Well, I do agree with you as well as the other people in the room. If someone's an adult and this is something they've decided, and the doctors say that their mental health is fine enough for them to do what they want to with their body, so be it. But I don't like the propaganda pushed on children. I think that they're going through all this development with their neurons, their brain, and all that, and they should be given time till they're adult before they make decisions of whacking things off.
Well, I had a question for Lucifer, and that's like, if we sort of just leave people to that are having problems to cope on their own, or they should just get weeded out of the population kind of thing, what would you say about people that have had problems yet contributed significantly to our society? Like, just say a Stephen Hawking's, for instance, who's in a chair. Sorry, I have to cash that. Do you think physical is the same, that people that have physical ailments should just be left to suffer and get over it or not? Or
well, certainly I agree that because we have the medical capability to take care of these people, that it should be made available. But they also have to put forth the effort to show that they're putting the work in. So basically it's meet them halfway. So say a guy like Stephen Hawking's brilliant mind. Unfortunately, he had the degenerative condition he did.
Yeah, multiple sclerosis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horrible condition, but he had a brilliant mind. Now, the point of the matter is he never complained about his condition. He did everything that he needed to do and outright went out of his way to seek help with his condition from an early age. And he learned to deal with his condition throughout life. Was he a burden on society? No, he wasn't. Even though he was in that physical state, he did everything he could to return to society what he got from society. So you understand what I'm saying there? So
yeah.
But now you take a person who is like on the streets of San Francisco, they refuse to get a job. They refuse to do anything in return, but they demand everything from society. Well, all they're doing is vampirizing. Am I correct? Would you say I'm correct?
I don't think
they're
so.
just being a social vampire. So say a person who has every ability to get a job and whatnot, they have the ability, but they choose to sit on a street corner without contributing anything and just hold up a sign asking for money. And they can go out, they can get food stamps, they can get the state medical, they can get all the benefits. And the only thing that they do is they're sitting out on a street corner begging for money. They're not doing anything in return for society. They don't even pay their taxes. You think that that's right? Fair?
Okay,
you don't
so
think that they're vampirizing us?
Can I answer? Like, this is the thing I've been pointing out. It's I'd like to be able to answer. I think that that's a black and white look at these things. I think that most people are trying the best they can to do stuff, and that may be a very, very low kind of output. And I grant it, that may be a very low output. But a lot of people that are struggling with mental illness, they're not capable of doing more. And I think understanding that and providing them with, the person out on the street, for instance, I think that it's a lot better in order, just leave them to suffer, is to actually help them with mental health treatments and get them back into a place where they can contribute to society. I think that a lot of the time we just see them as, oh, they're not trying, when in fact they're trying their hardest, and we're not acknowledging where they come. They all might also have a distrust of authority, for instance, which makes it particularly difficult to address their concerns if it is the authority offering them help, because someone with a distrust of authority will not take that help because they distrust authority. So I think I would say that a lot more has to be done to help people. And this is one of the, when I mentioned that people have rights, and those rights are based on Maslow's hierarchy, one of those things is self-actualization, which means to be a better version of yourself, to get better, and be a better member of society. So I think that is something that people should always have the opportunity to do. And it is within what I think is the social contract and sort of social contract theory, that the government should be doing things to allow these people to self-actualize. It's just that a lot of the time in modern capitalism, self-actualization isn't particularly a priority, which I can understand why. It's a hard world out there. I get why, but I think that part of it is due to the society that we've built around us. We've built a class-based society where people are sort of thrown to the wolves, if you will, and it doesn't benefit us for this to be happening. A lot of the people on the street that you've sort of described, Lucifer, they're veterans and things like that. An incredible amount of veterans are homeless. And I'd put it to you that they would be productive members of society if they were given the assistance to get over that PTSD and all of the horrible things they've had to experience in service of their country.
I have to agree with you on that part, because my sister, she was also a veteran. She served her country. She's not homeless or anything. She actually is a mother of 3 now, and she is doing great. I have a great respect for our veterans, and I thank them for everything. But
But you are aware that sorry to interject, but you are aware that there's
you're fine. You're fine.
Homeless people. Yeah. So
I was going to go with is, like, let's take, for example, some of our inner cities. One of the worst ones is San Francisco. Now, as we know, San Francisco has been going downhill for decades now. But back in the day, it was the gem of America at one point. But nowadays, when you actually look on a map of San Francisco, it's just covered with poop marks, reports of poop everywhere, because homeless people are defecating on the streets. And then you go walking down it, you listen to the people who actually live there, and they're horrified to live there. You can't afford housing there; is completely unaffordable. For like a 1-bedroom unit there, it's over $1 million US currency. And you step outside, you basically need armored shoes on, because you don't know if you're going to be stepping on a needle or you're going to be stepping in feces or any of this other crap. It's absolutely insane. And there's videos of even the mayor of San Francisco walking down the street, passing right by a junkie who's shooting up right there on camera with her. And this has happened numerous times. I mean, what do you think about these people who are not contributing? And before you answer, remind you, I don't blame these particular people. I blame the social government, the government of San Francisco, for allowing this stuff to progress so horribly far. But do you think that these people are perfectly within their right to do that?
Look, I think that so addiction is a horrific thing. It's absolutely horrific. I've met people with addiction problems, and I can't speak to San Francisco. I've never actually been to America, so I'll find it difficult to make commentary on a lot of
I was
the
going to
stuff
ask
you're
you, are
talking
you
about.
Australian or UK?
Australian.
Australian.
But I have, addiction is a massive problem. But a lot of the problem, in my opinion, is that addiction is a coping mechanism with other mental illness. So again, we're sort of getting back to people having mental illness and it not being addressed. And I agree that the government needs to do more. And I just did a quick look at, apparently San Francisco has public toilets, but they're paid public toilets, that you pay for them. So it's things like this that the government do that they don't sort of foresee what happens down the future. I know that toilets can be sort of, havens for people to go and use substance and have problems with, I know that. But what's the alternative? You get defecation on the street if you limit access to them. So what we're talking about is sort of
exactly
sort of these policies that they're implementing. And I'm not going to lay everything at the foot of capitalism, but when you're charging for citizens to be able to go to a public toilet and defecate, you're really making a poor decision as far as outcomes is concerned. So I don't. So with America in particular, and I have problems with the way that America in general, I would love for America to say, make the military smaller and, do a lot more with that money for, things like Medicare for all and taking care of their citizens. I don't have any power over that, but morally, that's what I'd say they ought to do. So, I mean, I could wax lyrical on how the San Francisco government could perhaps stop putting up large, sculptures and artistic things and focus on the poor of their city and the less fortunate, get people off substance by addiction programs that actually work. But, the military complex is going to steam onwards. The focus of the government is making, corporations making more money and producing more stuff. I think that some of the European countries, like the Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, these kind of countries have kind of done really well to address those kind of problems.
I have to agree with you on that. Yeah.
I would disagree. Because Scandinavia is kind of just leeching off the capitalism that was built up during the 70s. And the European nations are just leeching off of the American success. We are the ones who provides the military defense. We're the ones building the weapons and all the medical. We're the ones building all the technology. It's not like you see much of that like in, I don't know, Poland. Poland doesn't have a Silicon Valley.
Poland isn't a Scandinavian country, Bubbles.
European.
It's still in the European. It does sort of fall into the Nordic countries.
Yeah, but Slavic probably, but not Nordic. No, I'm talking more of Sweden and Norway. Netherlands is the same. I mean, I was in the Netherlands one year and sort of talking to people there, and their crime rates, like, they had to close a prison down because they didn't have enough prisoners, and they attribute it to sort of legalizing things that don't really matter that much, and also doing a rehabilitative prison system instead of because I mean the prison system in the US, basically they're just using slave labor for corporate projects. That's essentially what they're doing. It is a horrific system where you've got people, on call centers doing work for companies, this kind of thing. It's not rehabilitative. It's punitive and exploitative, is in my opinion.
Well, I don't think we should. Well, I'm not interested in rehabilitating all of them. For example, I think a pedophiles brought earlier that said there was a law to bring back the execution of pedophiles. I'm okay with not rehabilitating them.
I wouldn't go for execution, but I certainly would support chemical castration for somebody. I think that's a good solution, in fact, where you're not killing them, they can still be productive, they just won't have any urges that will.
Well, why not just, instead of wasting the money on the chemical castration, why not just chop it off in person?
Well, the problem with that is that what if you have a unfair conviction or a person that is coerced to confess and then he's exonerated later? How do you address that problem?
Well, I guess
mean,
Brett
with chemical
Chemical castration can
let me
still
finish.
leave a lot of bad things to the body. I mean,
Well,
they
let
just
me
chop
finish.
it off. There's no real.
Let me finish. I'm sorry, I got interrupted by Bubbles again. So the chemical castration, at least you can stop the chemicals, and yeah, it does have side effects, but you can at least sort of compensate them for that in some degree. If you're talking about cutting something off of them, well, that's something you can't compensate them for. You know, how much is your genitalia worth to you? You know, that's horrific.
Well,
so
as
I think it's a better solution.
As Brett and Garcia said, it would only be done in cases when we have 100% proof. So
we never have 100% certainty in cases.
I think video evidence like an R. Kelly is kind of undeniable.
There was there's definitely issues. A lot of these pedophiles, you'll probably notice, they like to collect images, and you can usually find the stuff on their computers. That's how they're found in the first place. Just recently, I was looking on Twitter, and I seen one of the most disgusting acts of humanity I've ever seen in my life. Apparently, some people went into someone's home and they looked on these people's phones and ended up finding out that they were basically sexually abusing their animals. So yeah, there is a way to get 100%.
I don't want to hear about that.
Well, I'm just telling you that there is ways to get evidence for it.
Yeah, I know, but I sort of push back against this idea of 100% evidence, because what you usually find, it's like the death penalty kind of thing. They go, oh, well, there's 100% evidence, but we know that like a significant percentage of people on death row are actually innocent, and people have been exonerated from death row before. So while it sounds good in practice, in practice, there will always be a few people that slip through the cracks when making those designations. That the whole point is sometimes it looks 100% solid and it's not. That's the point.
So you're telling us it is possible the R. Kelly videos could have just been a hallucination.
Did I say that?
Well, that's what you would have to suggest.
Did I say that?
Yes, that's what you would have to suggest.
So I said the R. Kelly videos are.
I'm saying that's what you would have to suggest.
What did I say, Bubbles? What did I say?
You say you couldn't achieve this 100% evidence, and I'm telling you, well, yes, you can.
No, that's not what I said.
So, do you agree you can achieve 100% evidence?
Yeah. So it's incredible what you get from what I say, and it feels.
So I ask again: do you think?
Hang on a second.
Let me finish. 100% evidence.
Let me finish. It feels like you just straw man me all the time, because what I said was, while in theory saying you have to have 100% evidence and we'll only do it on 100% evidence sounds good in theory, in practice, there's always a few that slip through the cracks, that we think it's 100% evidence and it turns out not to be the case. So how did you get from that to R. Kelly's tape was a hallucination? How did you get there?
Mark Ray, those situations clearly weren't 100% evidence, correct?
We think it was 100% when
somebody claiming it to be 100%
evidence.
It's not. It's my turn, is it not? Is it my turn? Is it not?
Well, you asked me a question.
I was replying, so I let you talk. Then it was my turn to talk.
Wow.
No, relax. And you have to remember earlier, before Mark came in, I did say, although I'm for ending the lives of pedophiles and all that, I also stated that I don't trust our system as well, and that makes me really hesitate on going full throttle with this. But if someone is proved without a doubt, I mean, if they're on camera, they've confessed it, all that, I say throw them in the Coliseum and make it a pay-per-view event.
I mean, R. Kelly got away with it.
Well, I've been in a society where public punishment was still used. I used to live in the UAE back in the early 80s. Public punishments were still a big thing back then. And you saw it all the time. You saw people being stoned to death by Sharia law, people getting drugged out of taxis and burned to death in the streets. And in certain Islamic countries, you still see this sort of behavior still going on. Now, I'm with Brett. I'm with finding all the evidence to prove 100% solid that you have a guilty party on the hook. I do not agree with Sharia law or how it works, but what I will say is, having witnessed public executions, the psychological effect it has on the populace is 100% effective. It does curb illegal acts. It does preemptively curb illegal actions. Is it nice? No, it's not intended to be nice. So having public executions, having thieves getting their hands cut off and whatnot, it absolutely has the effect that the government would want it to have in preemptively halting a lot of criminal activity.
There is one other
push
thing
back
too.
against that.
And I haven't said this in the show yet, but I do think that people who cry rape or say that they've been abused when they haven't been, I think they should get extreme time for that. If it is shown without a doubt that they deliberately lied about somebody to ruin their life, because you know just as well as I, if somebody didn't rape or they didn't molest, if they've been accused of it, whether the court lets them go or not, in America, you're guilty no matter what. So I think people who lie like that should pay.
I'm of the opinion that if a person lies like that about another person, I'm of the opinion that they should actually suffer the act that they accuse that other person of doing. I think that they should be publicly made to suffer that act so that they understand what it is they accuse that person of.
Well, that won't stop people. So in all of this, and like I hear what you're saying about public executions and stuff, Lucifer. I really want to push back on that, because we've studied public sort of executions and death penalty, and it doesn't actually discourage anybody from committing the crime. That's the thing. Like these kind of punishments, corporal punishment, capital punishment, they don't actually prevent crime. What does prevent crime is sort of rehabilitating people so they're not committing crime. That's why the Scandinavian countries have had so much success. And so we've studied this, and then we've got studies showing statistically that the states with capital punishment actually have more crime than the states without it. And when they took away capital, or they instituted capital punishment, I think it was in Canada for a short amount of time, it did nothing to change the rates of incidence. It doesn't actually work as a preventative measure.
Then explain why Vlad Tepes Dracula could set a golden chalice in every single village in his province during his time frame, the 1400s, and then put right next to it a row of impaled thieves and say, this chalice is for everybody in the community. Nobody steals it, and nobody steals that golden chalice.
Okay, so that sounds like sort of one anecdotal thing for a village. I'm not sure it works on a
That's for an entire country. That's the entire country fearing the punishment.
I think just recently, I think El Salvador president was like, didn't know out the, Order 66 on like all the gangs. He's pretty much cracked down on all crime.
Yeah, but
goodness gracious, Mr. Mod, you're making me blush over here. Continue on, Mark.
Yeah, that sort of, suggests that he's like, if that was me in that country, I would think he's springing a trap, to be honest with you.
Excuse me, folks. I have to go use the little aliens room. I'll be right back.
You said the little aliens room. That's funny.
Yeah, apparently on a UFO. That's okay. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
So what about you, Missing Mod? Do you trust the American government enough to be able to make decisions about people's lives, life and death decisions?
Yeah.
You do? Goodness gracious, you're optimistic. That's why I like you.
Thank you.
To what end, may I ask? Like, do you think that it has a good effect on society or a bad effect on society? What benefit do we get by executing people?
Well,
you don't have to look at them anymore. Go ahead, Mrs. Mudd.
Yeah, that too, and it brings justice to some people. I mean, depending on what their crimes are. I don't know what you'd have to be specific, but yeah, I think that they're smart and know what's up.
Well, I get that. I do get that it may provide sort of people might want to see sort of that sort of punishment or that kind of I guess vengeance or revenge enacted upon the people that have wronged them.
You mean
But
justice?
well, a lot of the justice is you're sort of tangenting a lot. What I'm sort of saying is that a lot of people say that that's what they want up front, but don't feel that way after the execution, that they don't feel any better at all. So really we're asking sort of what actually works.
It's not for the people out there. It's for the person that was killed. It's not easy to get a conviction where they are actually executed, but it's usually because they've taken a life of somebody's, So that's what it's justice for, is the dead person.
Sure. But that's a different thing than getting a sense of justice. Like, so what's your definition of justice then? What is
a life for a
where
life?
Does that come from? A life for a life.
Yeah, I mean that seems fair to me. I mean, you know, I don't know what how could you punish somebody other than life in prison, which means you gotta, everybody else has to pay for them to survive for the rest of their life,
So if a judge sentenced someone to death and they turn out to be innocent, they're exonerated afterwards, like has been shown in a lot of, a significant amount of death penalty cases. Should the judge then be killed?
Well, I mean, do you take the risk of not? No, because their decision is for the people. So, I mean, do you take their, are we supposed to just take the risk and let them live and do whatever? What if they are guilty? There's always going to be a mistake in there somewhere because we're imperfect. But I think that it's worth the, they, like I said, they've got to prove it in court, in front of a jury and everything else. So, I mean, it's hard to get a death penalty conviction on somebody that's innocent. I'm sure. Maybe it's not.
It surprisingly happens more frequently than you think that innocent people go to the death row. Do you think you would feel the same if you were the one unjustly convicted and sentenced to death?
Oh, I would definitely hate that, but But
you would support the death penalty in that case, saying, "Hey, well, I'm just, I'm a necessary sacrifice for justice to be done."
No, I would fight it tooth and nail. I mean, just like a person that's guilty it would do the same, Of course, I would hate that, but at the same time, the system works for all of us. Well, in America anyway, keeps the bad. I mean, there's always going to be something slipping through the cracks, but I think that it's overall positive, and it would have a lot more people out on the streets that are killing people or robbing people or committing crimes that would make everyone's life suck.
Mark,
but there's a lot of studies to suggest that that's not the case. That's the thing.
Mark, I appreciate your compassion and sympathy for folks. And feeling like there's some kind of other outcome or alternative and stuff that doesn't involve death. But I'm curious how far the resolve goes. Let's say you come home and someone that you love or you're attached to, you see them being killed by someone. You see them literally fall to the ground. They are dead, and you see the person actually doing it. Do you feel like you have the human right to be able to end their life?
No.
Well, what would you do?
I would restrain them if I can. If I felt my life was in danger, I would absolutely defend myself with any.
Well, I would say in that particular instance, your life certainly would be in danger.
Well, if it's in danger, then
somebody and you just witnessed it, you're now a liability.
But Mark Ray doesn't think you have the right to do it.
Why not just, I mean, let's say you have a gun on you. Why wouldn't you just put that bastard down? You've seen them kill your loved one.
Because he doesn't think he has the right.
No. I want to hear Mark. I want to hear his view. I appreciate his compassion and his argument.
Brett, just before I do answer, this is what I got to point out. Every time I'm asked a question, Bubbles answers, and it's not the answer that I have. Kind of
Bubbles, stop with the psychic stuff. Stop with the psychic stuff. Let Mark answer. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think that and here's the thing, like everybody's fallible and in emotional states and things like that. And I would be absolutely, angry, upset and everything. But would killing someone actually make the world a better place? I don't think it would. I think I would just be sort of salving my own anger, and that wouldn't even make me feel better. That's the thing. Like, tons of people think that taking out somebody would make them feel better, and it doesn't. All it does is make you feel like crap and have to deal with more trauma for the rest of your life. So, I do think that people do have, when we do sort of say a right to bodily autonomy and bodily integrity, certainly if I'm in danger or, I have to subdue somebody, that is overridden, by just necessity. Like, I'm not going to lay down and die because I have to respect somebody else's bodily autonomy. No, if I'm in danger or my loved one's in danger, I'm going to do whatever I can. And if that means killing somebody, that means killing somebody. But if it's not in defense and that person surrendered, say, no, I wouldn't take revenge like that. Or at least I hope I wouldn't. I guess I don't know because I've never been in that situation, in fairness, Brett. I can't say. Would I give into rage and pop them if I was in that situation? Maybe I would. It's impossible to say, right? Have we ever experienced that? I'm so sorry if you have. I haven't.
Well, I appreciate the intellectual honesty. I don't think that anybody, if they're in that type of moment, that they're going to be absolutely sure what they're going to do. Some people might shut their pants. Some people might run. Some people might just go completely fucking bonkers Norman Bates on that ass. Who knows? Never know.
But do you think they should be locked up if they do? Let's say they do. Do you think they should be locked up because they did?
What do you mean?
Do you think they should be locked up if they did? Let's say you killed a matter of, somebody comes in and you kill them. Do you think they should be locked up for killing this person?
It depends. It depends on the situation. Like, maybe they can sort of go for insanity, and I completely understand that if sort of mental illness is a huge thing in it, it may be mental illness that got them to do that. If it is just unjustified revenge for no other reason than sort of, revenge over something, I can't see how that's good for society, people taking revenge over slights. So I'd say, yeah, there should be some punishment, but keep in mind that we have a legal system that does address mitigating factors for a reason. So something like experiencing that and seeing, would be a huge mitigating factor in that kind of conviction.
Well, let's say somebody is like in my car trying to take my car. I'm not shooting them out of revenge. I'm shooting them because they're trying to take my car.
Yeah.
Why would you kill them though?
Yeah, I would kill them.
No idea.
I would kill somebody over a Bugatti.
I personally live in South Carolina, and here we have castle law. And it was literally just explained to me less than 2 weeks ago that castle law states that if you are on your property, anywhere on your property, or even in your vehicle, because your vehicle is still considered property, if somebody is trying to harm you and you feel enough of a threat, you can drop that fucker. You can drop him stone cold dead, even if you're in the middle of a parking lot in your car, and that person is trying to take your car or break into your car with you in it. If you feel that they are enough of a threat to your life, you can kill them, and you will not get arrested.
That's pretty horrifying. You've got to ask, well, what if somebody lures somebody back to their house? They could just sort of claim castle doctrine. I know what you're talking about, castle doctrine. And I might add that you've got more of a chance of shooting a family member than you do an actual criminal.
Mark, I don't recall where you said that you were from, but in America, even if a person does get restrained and the court system somehow does you right and gets them put in a cage for a while, unfortunately, even in our prison systems, a person is going to end up getting turned into someone's girlfriend or sold for a pack of cigarettes. So, I mean, how far does it go? You get what I'm saying?
Well,
you're screwed either way in America.
Well, yeah, no, and I as I said, I have a lot of problems with the way the American prison system works. Not only the exploitation of prisoners for corporate gains. I also have a problem with the way they handle prisoners, the way that they go out of their way to lock people up for minor transgressions or things that they could, still be useful in society. Someone, they used to lock people up for marijuana use kind of thing. I mean, that person probably needs addiction help, not to be locked up they used to treat marijuana exactly the same as sort of a high level drug like opiates or something. It was ridiculous. So I've got a lot of problems with the way that they kind of do things, but you've got a lot of systemic problems over there that I don't think that I could solve. But when we're talking morally, we're talking about oughts, right? We're talking about ought we do this or ought we do that. So I grant you, in a perfect world, we may be able to, do things like do more of ankle bracelets and home imprisonment and things like that. But I realize that's not the world we live in. But we're talking about oughts at the moment. Ought we do this to people? Ought we do that? And no, I don't think that people should be, people that get people should be protected in prison as well. Yes, I agree with that. And half the time, the people that are doing the transgressions in prison are the prison staff. So there's problems there as well. So it becomes very, very hard. And I'm from Australia, so we sort of don't have guns at all.
You guys don't need them. You got kangaroos that'll box your ass and crocodiles eat your ass. So
I was going to ask you, hey Mark, have you ever been outside of Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Where all have you traveled?
Oh, I've been to England, Netherlands, Japan. I've been to where else have I been? I haven't been to the US. I've definitely been to other places. I've been to Fiji, New Zealand. A few places. I've definitely traveled around. Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious because, I'm glad to hear that you've been outside of Australia, because so few people get to travel outside their home country, and then they start talking about other countries and they've never been out even outside their own territory. So I'm really glad to hear that you've made those travels.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, I meet a lot of people from the US, and I've never been to the US. I think that a lot of people in the US get very uncomfortable when people outside talk about the US, but the US influences so much in the Western world in particular, like trade and international relations and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
I personally think that, and here's what I've said to Brett before, I don't know if he remembers, but basically I think that sort of countries and stuff, they're just arbitrary. They're just lines that we've drawn. I like to think of humanity as one species. We're just one planet, and we've decided to draw these arbitrary lines. And I understand why, and I understand practically why it's done and all of this thing. But I think that human beings being on a speck of dirt floating in the most hostile environment that's ever been, so like you're in space, like basically a near perfect vacuum. I think that it's like ants fighting on a leaf. I think that the only way humans are going to get anywhere is to work together as one species. And I know that's not a popular opinion. I know that there's massive problems preventing that, but I like to align my thoughts far, far down the road and say that is the only way we are going to succeed in this universe. The only way. We have got to realize just, we're not in danger, like something's going to come in and grab you, but all it will take is one stray asteroid and smack, we're done. So I think we've got to sort of, and a lot of the stuff I do is going into talk with people with much different opinions, see if we can find common ground, see if we can find a place to work from towards all of these problems. Like you brought up a ton of great problems that we have in this world. We can work together to solve them, or we can decide that they're people that we think are others and push them away and move them outside of our group, and we'll never work together. I think that one way will be better for humanity and everybody in humanity, and one way will just lead to strife and war and tension, and just all of these horrible things.
But
And
Mark,
that's my philosophy.
I
But
can't
Mark-
believe it's the year 2024 and we're still at wars. Cannot believe it. It's so damn primitive of thinking.
Well, we disagree. Well, we all disagree what is good for humanity, because Mark is going to say, kids, well, at least, the trans is okay for humanity. I would say, no, that's not good for humanity. And the Chinese.
Oh, you're talking about what benefits society.
Yeah,
I
always
think
gonna have
what he's
wars,
trying to
Brett.
go for is that tribalism, the tribalism conversation. What benefits the group? Does this particular mental disorder or mental illness or this thing? Because Canada, I don't know if you've been looking into them, but they passed a law recently, Mark, stating that they want to basically euthanize old people as well as the mentally ill that are not functional. And they're also wanting to create suicide clinics for minors. As long as they are emancipated, they can actually choose to die if they no longer want to live.
Wait. Sorry, Brett, I have to interrupt. Canada hasn't passed any law where the government euthanizes old people. That hasn't happened. Could you expand on that? I don't know.
No, it's on the docket. It hasn't been passed yet. But it's on the docket.
So,
It's
but
what they
you're
want.
saying that they involuntary euthanasia of old people, like they don't agree to
Yeah.
it, they just get. I don't
Yeah.
believe that for a second. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
don't.
look it up.
Canada,
It's actually
euthanasia.
Well, sure.
Let me,
Could you give me maybe an article on it or something?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah, it's called assisted dying. Let's see. That's what they call it.
but
It's a
that's
nice
not.
way of,
But that's consensual, isn't it? It's when the person wants to die.
well, they're wanting to do
In
it for the
theory,
mentally
it
ill.
should be consensual, but I believe that there's language in there where they could do it unconsensually.
Okay, I find
assisted dying. Yeah, they're wanting to do suicide clinics. Hold on. Oh boy. Where is that page I had? Damn it. Well, you guys keep talking. I'll get it for you.
There was another MSR Mark, but the other Mark left. Not you, Mark Reed, but there was another one in the corner. He didn't get a single word in there.
Oh, I mean, maybe the topic wasn't to their liking. Maybe they didn't feel they had anything to add. That's okay.
I didn't even see anybody.
He was in the bottom right corner.
It was.
Here we go.
Like a super
Check
tiny
this out.
thumbnail.
Check this out. In 2016 law legalized assisted
Hey,
death.
Brett, can you inflate your tab there so everybody can see?
Oh, I didn't put it on the screen. I'm going to give you guys a link, though, so you can look at it, because there's so many of you in the room right now. In 2016 law legalized assisted death for Canadians aged 18 and older with a serious well, they're doing this for the sick that we were talking about earlier, but they're wanting to do this for the old and the mentally ill as well. And I'm talking about mental ill to the point where they can't function. I'm
looking at that thing, and it says to receive euthanasia, patients expressing disease, disability, or terminal illness must sign a written request expressing their wish to end their life in front of one independent witness who can confirm it was done willingly, free of coercion. Next, two physicians and/or nurse practitioners must independently confirm their written agreement that the patient has an incurable, grievous, and irredeemable medical condition that is in an advanced state of irreversible decline, and that the patient is capable of receiving and willing to receive euthanasia. If their death is not reasonably foreseeable, a medical expert in the underlying medical condition must sign off on the request. Their assessment must take at least 90 days, and they must be informed about and decline all other forms of treatment, including palliative care.
Well, going back to what you just said, a medical professional can circumvent. From the way you just made that sound, as if a medical professional says that they don't have the mental faculty. Or could you repeat that last little bit there? I believe
if their death is not reasonably foreseeable, so if they're not looking, like if you don't have like something that will kill you, in the reasonable foreseeable future, then a medical expert in the underlying medical condition must sign off on the request. But that's in addition to all the other sign-offs, right? Like the person still has to do a written thing.
But still, there's that loophole there.
What
It's
loophole?
sounding like, well, a person can come in and circumvent everything else, saying that, yeah, they can go ahead and do this.
No. So what it's
Mark,
saying
you were
is
talking
that-
about the benefit of people's health and all this, and the benefit of society. If young people say that they want to die, that they do not want to live in the society or existence, would you be against that? Do you believe in people's autonomy, their free will to do what they want to with their body?
Yeah, I think bodily autonomy is a good thing. I think that somebody, like there was a case in South Australia of a young guy who had basically his condition rendered him completely like he couldn't do anything. He was basically bedbound and just incapable of doing anything. And I 100% support his decision to end his life at that point. I believe that the guy was, I think, 17 from memory. I'd have to look that up, though. And he just wanted to end his life. But we're talking about that person giving express consent. And this law, there's no loophole to say, hey, if the medical expert says yes, they can do it. That's not the case. They need to sign in front of an independent witness who corroborates it, that's what they want. So it's not a case of somebody coming, like the way you phrase it, Brett, is sort of, oh, the government's going to come and just kill them. No, that's not happening. It's the option
No.
there.
I'm talking about suicide clinics. I'm not saying somebody's just going to come up behind you and whack you the moment you say so. Obviously, there's going to be some regulations and stuff, because you don't want to get somebody in there who's just having a bad day and get themselves screwed over. But what I'm asking you personally, though, if let's say you got a 25-year-old, he goes to the doctors, he says, look, I have crippling depression. I'm constantly wanting to end my life. I don't like paying fucking bills and working like a slave all my life. I don't want to do this for the next 50 years. End me. Would you have a problem with them give them a certain amount of days to think about it and then put them out? Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I'd have a problem with that, because in the cases of mental illness, that person isn't in a mental state to be able to make. There's a reason why we don't, we have power of attorney for people that can make decisions on their behalf when they're not in a mental state to be able to do it. We don't sort of allow somebody like a, depressed schizophrenic to make decisions about where their finances will go and things like that. Why would we allow somebody in that state to make decisions about whether they want to die or not? And plus, the wording of this language I actually agree with. It's an irreversible state or irredeemable state. So there's no reason why somebody can't get over depression. It has happened a lot. People have, come to it. So really, we're just talking about medical illnesses that are absolutely, basically there's no way to get over them. They're chronic and incurable. So that might be the case in a degenerative disease like Parkinson's, for instance. That might be the case, but not depression and anxiety and things like that, which we know we can not cure, but at least treat, right? We know we can treat it so people have a worthwhile life. So I don't know how that would apply.
So why wouldn't we be able to morally argue for, let's say we were to morally argue for people, no matter what their issue is, they choose that this is what they want to do. I mean, we're willing to send 20-year-olds out into a war zone. And we were talking about veterans earlier. We're willing to send people out to die, suffer, be tortured, all these things. Why can't the person choose while they're in society or culture that they just want to end it right there?
Well, it depends on the reasons why they're ending it. I mean, if they're suicidal for no reason other than they feel down about their life, then they're probably not just down about their life. They're suffering from chronic and severe depression. Like, that's the thing, Brett. You're sort of saying, hey, they want to end their life, but they're okay. I think that that's a bit of a weird statement to make.
Well, for example, the person you used, you said the person felt like their quality of life simply wasn't there. Couldn't fucking move. They couldn't do anything. But what if a person can move, but they simply don't want to exist? There are people like that where they just don't like the way the world is.
You mean a bunch of people?
Yeah, I don't.
From your side, Mark. Like a bunch of most of the people who tend to be atheists.
What are you talking about, Bubbles? I don't know what you're talking about.
I do want to point out for those out there that are looking for good clips to make about Brett Keane later, keep in mind I don't subscribe to a lot of these things I'm talking about. I'm just throwing it out there to see what people's views or ideas. I
gotcha.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. I think that sort of it's a gray area, but really we're looking at consent and mental illness. So can somebody with a mental illness give consent? And I don't think so. I don't think they're in any position to give consent. And that's where you would have to, I would say you would have to fall back on, again, I'll reiterate this, the people who have dedicated to their entire lives to studying it rather than, just deciding on the internet. And that's why I think that medical practitioners should be involved with it, right? That in this case of Canada, which I read out, medical practitioners are always involved, especially if it's sort of something where people don't die in the foreseeable future. It has to be of that field. They have to be involved. So am I saying that it's perfect? No, but I think that somebody who just can't see the point of going on, they're not in a mental state where they can make a responsible and give responsible consent for that kind of thing. Because there's always been times when people are in mental states where they wouldn't have agreed to do something. They wouldn't have done some act. That's why we have the insanity plea in the legal system. Because if they do something and it's a result of some kind of mental disorder, then we don't hold them responsible for their actions. That's the same reason.
We gotta get rid of that.
I don't know about you guys, but I have an issue with that insane plea that goes on.
Yeah, same.
It seems like it's taken advantage of, and it seems like a lot of serial killers and murderers out there, they know that there's consequences. They know if I get caught in my little fucking ice cream van while doing my stupid shit, I'm gonna get fucked over on this. So they are aware of right and wrong. So I don't know how they get off on that shit so easy.
It's not even a question of right and wrong. It's just the law. They know the law, and if they didn't, they wouldn't be trying to hide it. So they can't claim to be mentally ill.
I remember when everybody and their brother was trying to claim innocence by reasons of mental illness or insanity. And because everybody was getting off on that, that's why, and I agree with Mark on this, is why we need to have mental health professionals in there to determine whether these people really are nuts or not. But there also has to...
Sorry to interrupt, Luce, but sorry. Yeah, I agree with you. I do. Sorry. Go ahead. No, I'm interrupting you. Sorry, my bad.
You take let's use a comic book character for a bit of a personal reference here. Let's say the Joker out of Batman, okay? Obviously, he's criminally insane, but there doesn't seem to be any redeeming qualities about him. He keeps on getting locked up and breaks out and he does more shit wrong. At what point do we say enough is enough and we just end it?
And you also know with that Joker's mental illness, even though we're speaking of a fictional character, the prick knows that in 5 minutes of fucking up, Batman's going to kick his ass. So he knows that's a part of the game.
So,
I think he's into it.
Oh, yeah. Would he actually be mentally ill or not? I mean, they keep on throwing him in a loony bin, Arkham Asylum, but shouldn't he actually be going to Blackgate?
Well, here's the thing. Like anybody that sort of goes for the insanity plea to stop them from going, that's a stupid thing to do. Like just because you're found guilty by insanity or not guilty by insanity doesn't mean they just let you out into the wilds kind of thing. You may even have a worse experience, like being medicated, having, being strapped to beds, like in a mental health facility, than you do in a prison where you get certain amenities. They might not allow you to have even, certain things on you because, who knows what you might do with it. You might stab another prisoner with a comb, so you can't have that. Not that I need it, but, you might not be able to have a proper toothbrush because you might make it into something and stabs. There's the idea that being consigned to a mental health facility for the rest of your life, in all probability, is better than being put in Supermax or something like that, may be a false, like that may not actually be true. It may be, but it might not be, depending on your experience. Because some of those guys go to prison and they kind of rule like kings in the prison block kind of thing with gangs.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't know what things are like on the criminal justice system in Australia, but here in the United States, they've done away with criminal institutions for the mentally insane. Now these guys just go straight to the normal prisons. And I know because I've been in there with some pretty sick buggers.
Mm-hmm. No, fair enough. Look, I'm going to take off. It was a good conversation. Thank you all so much. It was really cool. But I'm going to take off. But it was interesting talking to you. I guess, can I just say one thing to wrap up?
Yeah, really quickly before you go,
Yeah.
and before you say that one last thing, a little raging somebody in the comments has been wanting to tell you on who you've been talking to for the longest time now, and so I figure I'm going to tell you. He wants you to know that I am a former neo-Nazi.
Well, here's the thing: you guys have something in common because
Yeah.
Mark Reed is also Satanist. So I thought you guys would get along.
All right,
Yes,
Mark,
I'm
I
not
was
a
wanting to let
Satanist.
you know that I enjoyed
Mhm.
your company, and I hope that you don't make yourself a stranger, that you come around more often. And
Yeah,
good
sure.
talk. And I really do appreciate your optimistic way of thinking. I was to the point where I was ready to take out the world. Very good.
Okay. Well, for a start, I'm not a Satanist and never has been. It's just,
Mark Reed, you told me you were.
somebody misrepresenting me yet again, which is
Mark Reed,
kind of
you literally
silly.
told me you were.
Bubblegum, you bastard, you.
Do you have any footage of me telling you? I bet you don't. Like, this is the thing. Bubbles, I say
All
something.
right,
and he
all
gets
right.
the
Let's not
worst
get into
of
who
it.
said what.
Yeah, it's really weird. How about you actually like listen to me represent myself and try, instead of trying to represent people for them? It's very rude. But I think that when morals are concerned, I'm not all for just sort of enforcing morals upon people. I think that secular humanism in particular sort of says, well, we're not going to enforce our morals. Really, all I'm looking for is sort of a moral compatibility between people. What can we agree on, come to a compromise on, and sort of work together on? So, I think that morality is incredibly complex, incredibly hard to distinguish, and we have to have these conversations about it. So I just want to leave it there. Thank you all so much, and I'll catch you in the next one, maybe.
Mark Reed for president.
And I'm glad you're not a neo-Nazi anymore, Lucifer. I'm glad that's the case.
I left it years ago and whatnot. I was a member of the National Socialist Movement, went to the rallies, carried a weapon, everything else, and I don't do that stuff anymore. And I am who I am.
Mm-hmm. Look, we all make
just the
mistakes.
same asshole I've always been.
Yeah, we all know that. We all know that, man. Look, we all make mistakes. We all do things. We all follow beliefs, and then we change them. That's okay. I'm glad you're out of it. I think it's a horrible ideology. Not just one of the most awful ideologies out there, but I'm glad you're out of it. And I don't want to hold people's former beliefs against them. I want to talk to them as you are now. And some of the things I disagree with, sort of this idea that Darwinism is letting the weak die. I think that, and we could have a massive conversation. I'm sorry to do this, but sort of when you talk about evolutionary drives, humans are social species. So pro-social actions are really important in humanity.
Mark Reed, Gay people are evolutionary dead end. There's no point in helping them.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
so tell
Mark,
me you don't know
We're not
about
even going to
evolution.
go down this rabbit hole, please.
Guys,
Well, it's
Mark,
funny because
I wanted to let you know something. At 7 p.m. Monday and Friday, 7 p.m. Central, we do a show every Monday and Friday. You're always welcome, all right? Link will always be out there.
No worries. Thank you, Bray. I really appreciate it. But yeah, this been. Do you mind if I put this up on my channel? Just my section, not the whole thing. And
You
I'll link
put
to
the
it.
whole damn thing if you want. You have permission.
Yeah,
Mark
you're
Reed.
actually part of the show for a significant amount of time. I would say you have every right to share this content.
Yeah, I generally think that should be the case, but I like to check, just in case somebody's, it's easier to check first than to get a copyright strike after. That's my mentality.
Mark,
about
you
it.
do know that if I put the link out days before, so if you ever know that you have time and you want to be a part of the show, come in, connect it to where to broadcast to your channel as well. That's what me and Lucifer are doing, and a couple others.
Okay, no problem. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. And
Have
I'll
a good
catch you later.
one.
Yep, have a good one. Night.
Oh, goodness. Let me put Missing Mod up here. She's probably fallen asleep. We put a destructive spell on her.
No, I was in the chat talking to everybody.
I enjoy talking to Mark. He's a good guy, but I really, really wanted you to be able to participate more into the conversation. I'm really glad you started finding the confidence to come up and talk to us dickheads.
I like you guys. I had fun. It's been fun.
All good. It's all good.
Yeah, talking to Missing Mod before. She's well spoken.
Thank you. I don't feel that way sometimes. I feel like I'm like all over the place. I can't really get a point across, but I try. I'm figuring it out.
I think you do just fine. Just fine.
Thank
This
you.
isn't Jeopardy. This isn't Jeopardy. Take your time. Take your time.
Man, and Rage has been out there just begging and promising, and he wants to come in so bad.
He's
he's being a crybaby.
He's been given 3 chances by Lucifer, and to be honest with you, I've given him 100 chances. I've been like, even before him and Lucifer got into it, I actually noticed that Raging returned to YouTube. Guess what I did, Missing? I went over like I did on your channel, and I said, "Hey, Rage, nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. How's the family? Come on over." Next thing I know, I'm a fucking Nazi manatee monkey fucking handler, whatever the hell he called me.
I have the whole video of his, and if you ever want to see it, I'll send it to you. He calls you a Nazi 500,000 times.
Well, my avatar does identify as a Nazi. I mean, I roleplay an internet Nazi.
Just give us some time, Rage. Everybody will chill out and relax. And maybe when Lucifer's feeling better, you guys can, say I love you and I'm sorry and all that good shit and kiss and make up, all that good stuff. Who knows?
The only time I want to talk to him is in person, face to face, without a computer monitor in between us. So let's see how much he runs his mouth then.
God dang.
Raging, I already know what the video clips are because I participated in the damn show. Did you not see the title? History of the, oh my goodness, what was it? National
No,
Socialism?
he skipped a 1-minute intro, just a single minute, claiming that he didn't even see it, which yes, Brett, you have like a 15-20 minute intro and I can understand skipping that, but you want to try to skip an intro and it's only a single minute. There's no way he couldn't have known something was different there, and I guarantee you watched it.
Actually, that was your broadcast. You did the attention thing, and then you did the cool thing with the music, and that lasted for about 2 minutes at the most. So that was your video.
It was literally 1 minute 5 seconds. I timed it out. All of that happened 1 minute 5 seconds. People can go over and see that.
Well, the point is throughout the video, even if you didn't see the beginning, every motherfucker in the video said, I was former this, I was former that, and this is the way I used to fucking think, and I changed my ways and stuff. So that was said many times. So what are you going to do? You know what I think happened? I think Rage was over there smoking a fucking bowl, probably having a beer on top of it, and his fucking brain was somewhere else. He was just thinking, what kind of video can I make to get me some fucking views today?
And then he got all upset, and when he actually got slapped with a copyright infringement.
Then he had a sad. Yes.
Wah.
And listen, Mod, how are you feeling? Have you suffered any sicknesses in the past few months? Everybody else here's got immunity issues.
No, not really. I mean, I get sick from, like a cold here and there, but nothing really too serious. Speaking of that, I wanted to ask about death curses and what you have to do to make sure, like, can they kill people? Like, if they backfire, can they kill people in your family?
She's nicely saying, Mr. Lucifer, that she's got a few people on her fucking Christmas list that needs to go.
Oh, no.
Well, let's put it this way. Yes, it's never a guarantee. I don't like calling them death curses because it's never a guarantee whether somebody's going to die or not. A curse works one of two ways. In the first way, it's going to either teach you the right from wrong, and you're going to reform and fix what you did wrong. That's going to have the curse put on you to begin with, in order to lift it, or it's going to fucking destroy your entire life. Now, if that's going to kill you, I would say that would be more of circumstance. Certainly, curses can kill, and I've seen them kill numerous times and do weird, wonky shit that has caused people to die. There's one individual who I put a curse on. I was in a really nasty state, big bad temperament, and inside of a month, he relapsed into cancer and he died in less than a month. There's other instances where it can take months or years for anything to happen. And you're sitting there going like, well, was that up to my doing or was it not? And usually I'll say that you'll know whether or not it was your doing or not. But there are those curses out there that are actually intended to kill. And some of them are tribal. There's one called death by bone. And yes, you heard me correctly. I said death by bone. This is actually a documented one. Excuse me.
You know what, Rage, and you keep on saying guilt by association. Since I was in a room with some people who once had these issues, that somehow associates me. Well, guess what? You hung out with the Amazing Atheist, so you must stick bananas in your ass, fuckball. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll address him in just a second. But death by bone is an old tribal one. It's where there's actual documentation of this occurring, where a woman, it was either a woman or a man, downtown New York, somebody walked up to her, pointed a bone at her, said some tribal words, and they fell down on the street screaming, clutching at their abdomen. And this person actually believed that there was a physical bone growing inside their abdomen, killing them. Inside of a month, they died, and they were in agony the whole time. Is there a physical bone growing inside them? I don't know. I didn't see any autopsy reports, sir. But the point of the matter is, it is a form of execution that these tribal hunters will track you down for years around the world, and they will find you and point this bone at you and curse you with it. That's one death curse. And then, you have the whole legends of Tutankhamun's tomb. Was there a death curse on the door of Tutankhamun? I don't know, but inside of a month or two, inside of a few years, almost everybody who opened up that tomb was dead. So
yeah,
there's a lot out there that proves death curses, but there's also a lot out there that contradicts them. I'm going to point it that way. As for Raging Atheist, he keeps on saying that I'm not going to sue, Well, give me your information. You can write the Satanic Thulian Society website. We have our email there. If you don't think I'm not going to sue you, then what do you have to fear? If you think your lawyer is going to crush me in court, go ahead and give me all the information you want that I need in order to file a lawsuit, and I will file the lawsuit, and we will see where that is.
I was going to say, if you file it, and it's if a lawyer says that you got a case, they can pull his information themselves or request it.
I can't imagine how funny that would be in a courtroom, wouldn't it? Somebody takes your video and then accuses you repeatedly of being a Nazi and everything else. Yeah, sure, a judge would love that. Yes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, who cares what he thinks, right?
Exactly.
I don't. I mean, I do, kind of,
the
but I mean, I
main thing
don't.
that lawyers will say is, well, we don't have their information. That's why most attorneys and whatnot don't like going after people online. But the truth of the matter is they could file a petition to the channel. And that's why I kind of want to make sure I have his information on beforehand. That way, lawyer can't say that we can't file it. People already know who this person is. They know where he is, and we can just file it right there.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper that way too, probably.
And he didn't respect my pronouns, so got him on that too.
Oh, yeah, he didn't respect your pronouns of they, them, them, zim, zur.
I identify as most sexiest motherfucker on the planet, and he didn't respect that.
Iron Chariot is in the chat, and I think he wants to make a bet with me. $1 million bet.
Well, $1 million, man, that would pay some fucking bills.
I mean, I'll give you guys a share if Iron Chariot comes in.
You gonna give me a share? Iron Chariot, get your ass in here right now.
Well, what's the bet?
Well, he wants to make the bet that the Dalmatia evolved from the old Irish sheepdog.
What?
So Iron Chariot is making the claim.
I'll look this shit up. I'll be the neutral party here.
Yeah, the Dalmatia, which is a purebred dog, came from the old English sheepdog, and he's claiming that's where it evolved from, which is completely silly.
Raging Atheist says, I went through this with Smokey Saint. Well, Smokey Saint was a fucking prolific pedophile and shit who had already had charges and records against him and all that. So I wouldn't compare the same kind of damage that could be done if Lucifer took you to court. Come on there, guy. Think about this. All right, now that we got that out of the way. Mr. Mod, you got some more questions about magic?
Well, I did have a couple more about the death curse thing. That's kind of like a name that I just kind of put on it myself. But I've heard about people. I think it was 3. There was multiple involved in some kind of curse, and it came back on them. And each one of them had somebody close to them die, like somebody very important in their life, and a lot of other bad
curses
things
can cause splash damage. That's how I would refer it. You take a look at the was it Jane Mansfield? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was Jane Mansfield who was hanging out with Anton LaVey. Well, her boyfriend or husband got cursed by Anton LaVey, and he said that you need to stop hanging out with him because in less than a year he's going to die in a horrible car crash, and if you're hanging out with him, it's going to hit you too. Well, less than a year later, a car crash occurs and they're both killed. You can't say that LaVey didn't warn her that it was going to happen, but that's a true story. You can actually look that up. That's the legend of how Jane Mansfield died, and it was Anton LaVey who supposedly put the curse on her boyfriend.
Didn't
or whatever.
She get decapitated in the accident?
I don't know the details, but what I want to say is that it was, I can't even remember, but I want to say, yeah, something came through the windshield and hit them both in the head. And it was a bloody mess. Let's put it that way.
That's rough, man. That's rough.
As for the Dalmatian is, can I go ahead and share my screen, Brett?
Sure you can, guy.
All right, let's I'm gonna share my screen with everybody.
Whoa, it's magic.
And there we go. We are sharing. The Dalmatian, the origins of this breed can be traced back to present-day Croatia and its historical region of Dalmatia. It is thought that early ancestors of the breed were certain breeds of pointers and spotted Great Dane. Today, it is a popular pet, and many enthusiasts enter Dalmatians into kennel club competitions. So, the suggested origins of the breed. What was Darth? What was the argument about?
Well, it's what's his name? His name is Iron Chariot. He is making the claim that Dalmatians evolved from Old English Sheepdog, but this article is making the claim it evolved from the Great Dane, which is also false.
From pointers and spotted Great Danes.
Spotted Great Danes.
Which both are short hair breeds. I mean, definitely more pointer. I mean, you can see from the picture of the pointer that I have up right next to the picture of the Dalmatian, very similar body type, very, very similar there. And spotted Great Dane, obviously this is not something that's around anymore. Great Danes are massive, huge animals. And
we still have Great Danes.
No,
Yeah,
but a breed specific spotted.
Spotted. Yeah, they.
Yeah, I could see it says
around.
Spotted Great Dane.
Yeah, they're
right
still
here.
around. Yeah, there's
a breed specific. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. There is black and white spotted ones, so it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know. But this is Wikipedia. If people want to look it up, that's what Wikipedia says. And it was just an easy reference point. We can look mysterious DNA. This is from the Kennel Club. You can look this up and get fuck off. Yeah.
I don't know why Raging continues to say, oh, you guys are scared and all that. Mrs. Mod, you've been watching me for the last couple of years, so it seems like it bothers me a damn bit bringing somebody in here to act like a full-on retard.
That's why I was like, why not? Because he always
because
seems
my buddy
very,
Lucifer's
nice.
sick. If Missing Mod, if you're not feeling well and you got some asshole out there giving you some shit, and you've got a few fans yourself, and you say, "Brad, I'd appreciate it if you don't bring that fucking retard in here. I'm gonna do as you ask because I care."
Oh, I agree. You were just asking, so I was just telling you why.
And me personally,
I didn't know what was going on.
That if you're going to be an asshole all over the place, and it's clear he's nothing but more than an asshole, why should that person be given a platform?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't realize what was going on though. That was my only thing. I didn't know the details.
He got all butthurt because Brett didn't denounce me in my own live stream podcast about my past history and the involvement of National Socialism, which is Nazism, in Satanism. He got all butthurt about it, and he decided that he was going to make a live stream where he was trashing everybody, and I hit him with a copyright, and he got all butthurt about that. And now he, I've offered to tell him, face to face in person, and he still doesn't want to do anything.
Well, Raging has also had a history. He has seen me do show after show after show. And whether I agree with somebody or not, I will usually participate. I'll listen to why people think the way they do. I mean, one of the big things for me, one of the mentally stimulating things, I like to know why people think the way they do. I wonder why it is people chose this in their life or that. This is humanity's interesting, fascinating for me. You know that Missing Mod. Fuck, I'll have any wild animal up in here.
Well,
yes, I do.
Missing Chariot is talking a lot of dog talk over there in the chat, but doesn't want to jump in. He's saying Great Danes is a transitional species. Well, do you want to bet on that? You want to bet $1 million? It's not. I'll bet $1 million, Iron Chariot.
Why don't you come in, Iron Chariot? I'll sit back, keep quiet, and let you and Mr. Bubbles have at it.
You got $1 million?
Well, I'm gonna bet $1 million.
I would have been fine with this fucking $20.
You don't have. Let's keep it to something that you actually have and can actually pay out. Let's actually make the bet something substantial. Why don't you put your car on the line?
I'll bet $5.
I'll sell everything and get $250,000. How about
no, you won't. You won't.
I got some pretty.
Put your car
Well,
online.
even
Put your
if
car
even if
online.
even if you manage to be able to say that the fucking dog came from this type of dog or this dog, where's the evolution in that? It's still a fucking dog. You know, this isn't.
Well, that's the
Now, if
thing.
you were to tell me the thing originally was a fucking butterfly, then you got my attention. You get me excited. I'll pull out the balloons and everything.
Well, that's the thing. The dog, you'll never get like a Chihuahua out of a Dalmatia or a German Shepherd out of a pug. That's never going to happen.
That's because Chihuahuas are hung like a fucking gerbil. They couldn't do anything even if they wanted to.
Well, Iron keeps talking all that bullshit, but doesn't want to show up. Come on, put up or shut up, Iron Chariot. I want to bet $1 million.
I want to see a transitional fossil for something crazy. I want to see like a fucking shrew turning into a monkey, a tree shrew turning into a monkey. That's what I'd like to see.
I think he's upset because he's like a Mark Reed fan, and I made this same bet with Mark Reed, and Mark Reed owes me $1 million. So,
Well, if you ever get even half of that shit, I need a loan. I need a new fucking air condition.
They just got to pay up. I give you that. I'll give you that money, Brett.
Mr. Mod, you're gonna have to remember to use the restroom before coming into my shows because you know I'm gonna make you piss yourself if you stick around too long.
Yeah, you crack me up most of the time.
He says I watch too much Pokemon. Did I say something that sounded Pikachu-ish?
I think he's referencing like also like on some other channel. And I was telling how these other people believed in Pokemon evolution because they couldn't provide transitionals. So they basically believe, one species of dog just jumps to another without a transitional. So they would literally believe a pug gave birth to a Dalmatia.
Mm.
How can anybody compare Pokemon to real life, though? That's what I always ask.
Yeah, I don't know where Pokemon came in.
It's what they're proposing. You ever heard of punctuated equilibrium? This is the theory about punctuated equilibrium. There are no transitionals. It's just like a pug just magically gives birth to a Dalmatia.
How? I'm not even going to say anything. That's just stupidity incarnate.
It's theory of evolution for you.
That's not even evolution.
It was one of the proposed theories. Of course, they don't teach it because it's flat out silly. But it was a proposed theory for evolution.
That would be just like going to the whole Pokemon thing. That would be just like how you can evolve your Pokemon with a rock and force them to evolve and change, and like a Pikachu going to a Raichu or something like that.
Exactly, and that's why I called it Pokemon evolution.
What do you say about this Iron Charioteer? Does this person ever get on webcam, by the way? Because I got an offer for them, a proposition they just can't refuse. Is this you ever seen this person on camera, or are they just a keyboard commando?
Keyboard commando for Mark Reed. They're a Mark Reed fanboy.
Iron Charioteer or Charioteer, whatever the fuck your name is. Would you be interested in having an evolution debate with Kent Hovind? He's always asking me to find new people for him to spank and shit. Would you be interested in being his victim? Tell me about it, Iron.
Rage is like, I get on webcam.
Well, I'm giving him the chance to win $1 million to back up his bullshit.
I would let
You
Raging
don't have $1 million, bro.
I'd let
Raging. I love you to death, but you don't have $1 million. So
okay,
it's something that you actually do have up.
Okay,
I bet a sausage pizza or something. Bet a sausage pizza. I like fucking pizza. Don't you miss
$250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Do you have $250,000 million?
I'll sell everything to get that, that rest of the money.
Is there any atheist out there who would like to debate one-on-one with Kent Hovind? I be the moderator, and I sit back, drink my coffee, and make sure people don't kill each other or evolve suddenly.
No, he's a proud keyboard commando. I don't think he's going to do it.
Oh, that sucks. Well, it sounds to me like he's not confident.
Kent's a pussycat. I mean, hey, come on. Him and I had a great conversation. I got him to say that it's a possibility that God lied.
Oh, by the way, I did talk to Kent and stuff like that, and I asked him if he enjoyed himself. He said that it was interesting, and he said you're a pretty nice guy and stuff for a Satanist. So he respected you.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it was definitely an interesting conversation. Definitely, yeah. I didn't have a bad time. I enjoyed myself.
Well, we got to find some other non-believers. I'd have Raging Atheist take on Kent, but I don't want to see Raging have one of those crybaby moments like he did with Matt Powell. Oh, damn.
Man.
That was bigoted, wasn't it? Shit.
Shit.
He's gonna fucking lose it over that shit. ASMR says, Brett, I'm not a Raging Atheist fan either, but he's saying he had a heart attack recently. He seems sincere. I didn't know that. Well, Raging, even though I've been being rough on you, if you had a heart attack, I hope that your health improves. You know, we're dicking with you. I don't want to see you die.
And this is another reason why, we shouldn't stress him out or anything and bring him on, because if him and I got on, I'd probably just stress him out. He could possibly break down
came in here
and then he would have another heart attack on camera. I don't want to see that.
That's true. That's true. If he would have come in here and got all aggressive and shit and had a heart attack, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself. I'm like, fuck, I bring an atheist in here and he dies on me. I couldn't do that. I have fucking nightmares forever.
Yeah, see?
That would definitely make the show interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
come on, that's cold.
On channel.
I'm just being honest. I mean, people would, people like seeing that kind of stuff. Not. Hopefully, he would live.
Listen, Ma's like, bring up 10 atheists. I want to see them all die like dominoes. Yeah,
No,
damn.
I don't want to see that happen. I'm
Honestly,
just saying
I've seen enough death that I don't want to be seeing that on the air. I've seen enough death in person.
That's
rough.
Yeah.
Raging says he's more accepting. Rage, I seen the comments and the dialogue between you and Mr. Lucifer. It was fucking horrific.
Yeah, you're fucking lying through your fucking ass. People can go see that you're lying.
He said, well, that was earlier, though. I don't know if because the topics changed.
Iron Chariot, come on in. You're going to keep talking all that smack, my man. I mean,
come in here and tell us how a fucking slugfish turns into a domination or whatever the hell that is. Come on in.
He's just simply making the claim that the Spotted Dane is a transitional from Grey Wolf to Dalmatia. Just because you read it on Wikipedia. That's not true. If they actually done the genetic testing for this and found out that's
like I said, was the easiest thing for me to pull up, and you can see that I had no part in that. That's just what it pulled up, and it said it was a suggestion of where they came from.
Yeah,
well, you did look it up on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is like, eh.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be hateful, but did you ever hear what Wikipedia did to Neil deGrasse Tyson a while back, Lucifer?
No, I didn't.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's always had this thing where he doesn't want to be categorized like as an atheist. And the atheists, they got a hold of Wikipedia and they wrote out a whole profile that he's godless and an atheist. So he felt so fucking triggered by that. He ended up going on this show called Big Think and saying, I'm not a fucking atheist. If I'm an ist of anything, I'm a scientist. You never seen that before?
No.
Oh, the atheist turned on his ass so quickly. They used to love him when they thought he was an atheist. Are you okay over there, Lucifer? You sound like you're going to poop or something.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right. One more. Yeah, I keep hearing you're grunting and stuff like you're in pain. Are you sure you're okay?
I was stretching and popping my fingers.
I was like, oh shit, he keeps that up. Something's going to come out. It is what it is. So
sorry, I thought I muted my mic.
Oh, good. Sorry to put you on the spot. Mrs. Mod, you got any more questions? You've been into death and destruction, anything else? I haven't heard you say anything about lust spells. What's that all about?
Well, it's just a certain area that I'm interested in, really, but I like hearing about all of it. But Yeah, I've been on here for a while, so I got to get out of here soon.
Okay, I gotta ask you about something because I've heard you mention lust spells there, Lucifer. Can this work on somebody that is actually committed to a partner? And I'm not saying I want to do it. I'm just saying, is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, it can work. It all depends on what you want to have done or how far you want to take it. I've had mild success with lust in the past. It's not been my main field of focus, but I've used them once or twice, and I've had some mild success with them.
Would you use it for for yourself or on someone else or?
Well, sometimes they're useful for figuring out, like, say, all right, there was one situation where I had a friend's girlfriend making an advance on me, and it was an unsolicited advance, and I wanted to do something, but at the same time, I was respecting my friend, and so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do anything right now, and I went back home. And me and my wife at the time, we did a lust spell because I told her about it, and we did a lust spell. And the next day, we got a solution on the situation. So I'm not going to go into the graphic details of what all the lust spell involved, but yes, both of us were, working with each other on it, and we raised up enough energy, and we got a solution on the situation the next day. That was one of my more successful lust spells. And most of the time with lust, I would say, honestly, lust is very much so more about self-gratification than actually causing something outside of your immediate social environment. We have spells or rituals, I should say, not so much spells, where we perform sexual acts during the ritual. There's a black mass where the altar and the priest have sex with each other, and then the semen is harvested from the altar. When I say harvested from the altar, I mean the altar maiden, and it's harvested literally from her womb to create what we call the elixir of life. And that would be more along the true lines of lust. Most of the rest of the lust spells out there, I would say this is probably one of the main fields where it's mostly psychodrama.
Well, I see.
Brett's bringing up something.
See, Iron Chariot took out the bet in chat because he doesn't want to come up here. So I just played this video for him and have him pay.
What do we got here? Lassie turned into what? You see, this is always the same damn deal with these evolutionists, always wanting to show cartoons and fucking drawings and stuff. Nobody ever actually shows you anything.
Did the audio come through?
It looks like the clip went out.
Yeah,
there you go. It's back. I see a Dalmatian.
Yeah, let me play it again. Shoot, let's get too far.
All right.
Is there supposed to be sound?
Dude, your shit is fucking broke.
No.
Your shit's broke.
Yeah, there's no sound.
All right, then here
I just tell us what the deal is. What fucked another dog and turned it into a Dalmatian? What do we got here?
No, here I'll post a link and you share your screen.
Lucifer, you want to do that? I fucking hate doing this shit.
And you're not going to get any sound from my screens. It's just going to show the screen full screen.
Why don't you?
I'm trying to get the sound.
Because all it is a bunch of fucking pictures anyway. Why
are we worrying about what fucked a Dalmatian? What fucked to create a Dalmatian, anyways? I mean,
no,
the guy's not. Iron Charioteer he's been invited in. He doesn't want to come in.
No,
so why even continue with this?
Well, Iron Chariot he took up the bet. The Great Dane is a transitional, and in the video they clearly tell you the genetic testing reveals that they are not even related at all.
I got a question for you guys. I've noticed also that evolution became more popular around this time. You guys have looked into genetic splicing?
Yeah.
What you guys' thoughts about it? Miss and Mod, do you know what genetic splicing is?
No.
It's whenever they basically splice animal cells into another animal and shit, creating, like, for instance, they take rats and they genetically alter them with human DNA, creating fucking ears on their back. You ever seen that?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, that one of the fascinating things, and I even brought this up with Kent. I said, Kent, do you notice in the last 50 years, since genetic splicing has become very into the mainstream, evolution has somehow became popular along with it? And Kent says, you got a good point there. Because with genetic splicing, you can make it to where they've got it to where cows are able to produce a different way. They got it to where they've created completely different kind of animals, a mix or a hybrid of it. It's pretty neat. Now, for some people out there like Mr. Dickhead that we've been talking to out in the comments, who says, well, that proves evolution. No, that proves that a mind and many minds were required in order to design that shit. So, yeah. You guys went quiet. I guess I'll change the topic then. That one doesn't work for you guys. That's boring.
No, here, let me try share with the subtitles. Maybe the subtitles will show up. You can just read the subtitles.
Yeah, I gotta jump off though, guys. But it's been fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I hope you come back, Mr. Mod.
Yeah, I will.
See you around.
Next time you guys do a show. I'll see you, Bubby.
All right. Oh, Rage says, I thought you were about free speech. I am about free speech, but you pissed somebody off and they don't want you in the room now. You're going to have to work that shit out with Mr. Lucifer. What kind of friend would I be if I let people come up here and fucking harass him? It wouldn't be fun no more, would it?
Like I said, give me your address. We can sort it out face to face. I'll happily give you my address. We can sort it out face to face.
What do we got here? What's this all about? Showing off dogs, and then you showed Mark Reed. What's that all about? Did somebody evolve I didn't notice?
Oh no, I had myself muted. I just realized. I'm gonna read what's in the video since you can't hear the audio. It says there is no detectable genetic match between Harlequin, Great Danes, and Dalmatians. There is no evolution.
Oof, man, that thing just fucks up the whole screen.
So now Iron Chariot has to pay up $1 million since he took up the bet.
That's rough. Let me put it on here. There we go. My screen's all fucked up. I don't know what the hell the deal is with that. I'm only seeing half of our screen now. Does it look right for you guys? Let me hit zoom. See if there we go. That fixed it. Oh, anything else in you guys' mind, or are you done for tonight?
I think that's it for me.
I'm sorry, I've been real fucking tired. I didn't sleep last night, and Mr. Lucifer is sick, so that's where we're at. Hopefully Friday will be better. All right, Lucifer, you still alive over there?
I think we lost him.
No, I forgot that I was muted.
Yeah, it happens to me too. Here, I thought the demons finally claimed his soul, his payment. I'm just
all right.
that.
So we're gonna let Lucifer get him some sleep. I'll do something Friday, 7 p.m. And Lucifer, if you decide to do anything throughout the week, you let me know. And
well, I'm gonna try to do my show tomorrow, and people are more than welcome to come on. So yeah.
Are you gonna be out for it, man? You still sound rough.
I'm gonna try. I made it tonight, so we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I guess I'll shut her down unless you guys got something on your mind.
All right. I'm good.
It's all good with me too. Shut her down.